Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello.
Oh my God! My air gets stuck inside.
Sounds like a toilet's flushing.
Hello.
We're in the
Hello?
process of letting everybody connect, and then we'll make sure everybody's connected and identify everyone. Just give us a little while.
Okay. All right. Fine.
So Linda Faub, are you on the line?
I am.
Could you speak one more time?
I am on
What's the last 4 digits of your number?
8776.
Okay. Thank you. And could the caller that has a 296-0081 number identify themselves?
It's me, Chris.
Okay. Hold on, Chris. Okay, and the 361-722-9162 caller, could you identify yourself?
This is Carol Norrell.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
First name is Carol.
Yes.
Last name is Norrell.
Okay, thank you.
Computer audio. Okay, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Catherine.
Okay, great.
We're still identifying everyone, so people are still connecting.
That's great.
Okay, and we have someone connected under Heather's iPhone. Could you speak?
Yes, this is me, Heather Delanoy.
Could you spell your last name, Heather?
Yes, D is in David, E-L-A-N is in Nancy, O-Y.
Thank you. Jana Kenzie. Yes, we have another person connected just on an iPhone. Hold on. Oh, they just dropped. Never mind. Yeah, there's a person on an iPhone that we haven't talked to. Could you identify yourself?
I think it's me. This is Todd Burr from Infomart.
Okay, so you're on an iPhone and a computer, I guess, Todd.
It's very possible, yes.
Okay.
Bill, I believe the iPhone was on before Todd got on, so I think that's somebody else.
Okay.
That's probably me, Bill, Sarah Teal.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Sarah. Let's see, we have Lewis, Catherine, Chris, Jana. We have all 5 directors, Catherine, and I think I've identified everyone on the line. So if you want to proceed.
Okay, so we have Heather Delaney, Todd Burr, Sarah Teal. Who else? Oh, Linda. I see Linda. Okay.
And Carol.
And we have a Carol. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Heather, did you want to make a public comment?
I'm just joining in and supporting the safe routes that's happening, and mainly to listen in on how we can improve the traffic in the area, especially on our residential streets.
Okay, okay. So Todd, did you want to make a public comment?
No, I'm just listening in. I try to get to all of our boards once a year, and with this opportunity, I wanted to take it since I didn't have to drive to Austin.
Okay. Sarah Teal, you wanted to make a public comment?
I do. I have a public comment tonight.
And did you want to make comments on agenda items?
I do not.
Okay. And Linda Fobb, did you want to make a public comment?
Yes, Catherine, I do.
And did you have agenda items you wanted to talk to?
Yes, ma'am, I have 7.
Okay, could you list them out for me, please?
Okay, number 2, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 12, number 15, and number 17.
Okay. And Carol?
No, I'm just here to learn. I'm inquisitive because of reviewing the web.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 comments tonight. Let's go ahead and start with Sarah Teal.
My research reveals that what has occurred with regard to this MUD board and continues to occur inside of these board meetings is so far outside of what the law intends that it is hard for me to wrap my mind around. It is an almost insurmountable challenge to identify and expose all the things that have gone off track. This board has been staffed by the same companies and run by the same members for so many years that I actually believe that they themselves have lost track of what is acceptable to do as part of a local government. There are documentably a myriad of instances where both board members and contractors of this district have violated the law. It is painful to watch these meetings in action because every week they take liberties with neighbors' rights, trample on clearly written laws, and spend neighbors' tax dollars in fiscally irresponsible ways. Because most lay people don't have the time to research these laws or scan through open records, they can't understand what is being done to them. I have spent numerous hours reporting these oversteps to various agencies, many who have opened investigations that remain in process. Showing up at these meetings and highlighting these problems has been fruitless as a way to change the behavior or even ignite conscience of the members who are currently sitting on the board. I believe the only answer to having a peaceful and equitable neighborhood where all neighbors are treated with respect and care is to be annexed by Cedar Park. Being annexed would allow us to have a local government that is overseen more robustly by other agencies and has council members who see their job as a sacred civic duty, not as a paycheck. They don't use public funds to pay themselves like these MUD directors do. It would keep people from ruling over us that have sat in power for over a decade, who make decisions according to their own personal preferences instead of the will of the people, and who improperly interfere in elections to safeguard their control of power. Not only would being a part of Cedar Park allow our neighborhood to have a more just government, but it would give us access to the Cedar Park Library, pools, and rec center. It would allow us to vote in Cedar Park and the ability to be involved in the development of the city we live in. I, for one, would like to be part of a government that is getting better by the day. I'm going to reach out to see.
Thank you, Jimmy. Okay. Linda Fobb, you have a 2-minute public comment.
Thank you, Catherine. On March 25th, 2020, I requested that this board acknowledge and recognize the Community Forum for WTCMUD1 as a voluntary neighborhood association and as a valued contributor to the residents of this MUD district. I provided many examples of what our community association has accomplished in the months since its inception. My request has been ignored because this board does not like dissenting voices. By now, you must realize that I am not deterred by your obstruction, your gaslighting, or public intimidation to circumvent the law. Members of the Community Forum are prepared to wake up the community and restore faith in a local government that will work for them.
Okay.
I'm ready to go on to number 2.
Okay, agenda item number 2.
By limiting presentation, support, resources to only your sanctioned groups, you have not given a voice to the Community Forum's members who represent every section of this district. and you have completely silenced Hunters Glen 2, who have no HOA and no voluntary neighborhood association to speak for them. It appears discriminatory to me. This applies to every area on this agenda where the only people given a voice or resources are those that participate in a group other than the community forum or any resident not affiliated with any of them. This is a considerable amount of people without a voice in this community. That cannot stand. Number
Okay.
7.
Number 7.
Recommending approval for the Badger meter replenishment. I'm seeing sequential purchasing to avoid the competitive bidding requirements under state law. How are you able to purchase more water meters under the guise of a replacement program when you can't answer any questions about that program? Number 8.
Number 8.
Prior and pending open records requests, cost incurred by the district. The open records request spreadsheet created and maintained by your attorney is missing a very key field that demonstrates what you are doing. That is the date the public information was released to the requester. I've copied the format and added that key bit of information so that people can see what this board is willing to spend to withhold public records and not release them. It begs the question, why? Are you offended that I'm asking, or do you think that I don't have a right to know? I've always believed that if there was nothing to hide, you wouldn't fight so hard to withhold the public's records. For those listening, if you are scolding me for wanting to see the records instead of the board for wanting to hide them, you're doing it wrong. I've asked for nothing personal or confidential, things like a bookkeeper's report or a copy of a check, simple, easy records that are obligated to be released. The cost reflected on page 20 of the bookkeeper's report tonight are legal expenses incurred by this board to withhold information. Greed and corruption are slowing our progress. However, true power still rests with the people. I will continue to request access to the public's records. For a true and accurate picture of what this MUD board is doing in regard to making available public records, please visit the Community Forum for WTCMUD1 on Facebook to see a complete list of what they do not want me to see. Facts are published there.
Number 9.
Tonight, the MUD board will vote on a resolution that will allow them to use our tax dollars to pay all the legal expenses incurred by their contractors that are willing to participate in the withholding of public records using an attorney to do so. This is a classic play by the board to avoid oversight and cover up wrongdoing. The facts are clear. The MUD has been given the opportunity to provide the records first. They are failing. The Public Information Act cannot be circumvented with the MUD board resolution, and they certainly can't decide what extension of this governmental body is subject to the act. Their only desperate option is to pay the legal expenses of contractors and consultants that agree to withhold records. The action alone will not win over a judge in any court of law, and it certainly portrays your obstruction in the court of public opinion.
Next.
Number 12.
Number 12.
The Deed Restriction Committee has not answered the questions regarding enforcement inequities and why some residents are fined and some not for the same violation. Why talking to Jimmy negates some homeowners from their need for deed compliance. The family at 2202 London Lane being sued by the district for parking in the street when directly across the street from that property is a clear fire pit violation that is not being addressed. Both properties are in violation of the deed, yet you're like a bulldog on the overnight street parking violation. This is an easy example of inequity in your deed enforcement process. How are you appropriating funding to residents that are not members of any of your listed sanctioned groups? There's at least 875 properties in Anderson Mill West alone that are not members of the Voluntary Neighborhood Association. Effectively, non-members are funding an organization they don't participate in. There are 123 properties in Hunters Glen 2 where you've been collecting fines for over a decade, but they don't have access to their money either. The records reveal that this board has given money collected in Hunters Glen 2 to the HOA in Hunters Glen 1 to pay for crawfish boils that were exclusively for Hunters Glen 2 residents only. How does this board and Julie Potts square that morally? In your funding strategy to only recognize your sanctioned groups, you're excluding 950 plus properties from having a voice in this district. You are clearly not a representative government because you only cater to a select few. Shame on you.
Number 15.
Fact, I have a standing open records request to view the bills and invoices so that we can avoid more misappropriation of the district funds. Steak and lobster dinners, stage management reimbursement for meals, Infomark's added fees to service the district, you know, misappropriation of funds. I have yet to see any of those bills and invoices since my open records request months ago.
Number 17.
I've submitted numerous questions to this committee and received no response. Does this committee only answer questions they like and ignore the ones they don't? I send forward questions about the meter replacement program on January 17th and still have no answers. If you can't answer the questions, you shouldn't execute the program. During Monday night's meeting, Catherine referred back to a public meeting of this board when Louis Zervigon personally asked me to sit on the ACC for Anderson Mill West. I want to be clear that I was not invited to the position by any member of the ACC or even the membership of Anderson Mill West Voluntary Neighborhood Association, as Catherine stated. That is not true. The Anderson Mill West bylaws state that their membership votes in ACC members, but that's not true either. It is this MUD board that controls the ACC for Anderson Mill West, and my email reply to the entire MUD board following that meeting reflects that. 2 years after that attempt to bring me into their corrupt fold, my inclinations were right, and I have been true to my word, Catherine. The impact that I promised for my neighborhood includes transparency and accountability. I'm bringing both to bear. That's a fact.
Okay, and Carol, you did not want to make a public comment?
Well, simply to say that I'm finally getting to be present at a meeting, and certainly I have questions about things that have occurred to me, but not tonight, because I'm not in a position to know enough. I find some things alarming or perhaps perplexing, and so I look forward to, for example, tonight I could not ever find the agenda on the website, and I'm sure that's my fault, but nevertheless, I never could find it. And so I will work harder in the future. I plan to participate. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm now going to close the public comment section of our meeting, and I want to thank Jimmy Sagnas for being our timekeeper. Okay, agenda item number 2, presentations by the Anderson Mill West Neighborhood Associations, Hunters Glen Homeowners Association, Lakeline Oaks, and Valente Hills. And I believe we have somebody from Anderson Mill West here. Was Beth on the line?
I am here.
Oh, boy, you look like you're.
How are you? I know it's
in...
really blurry. I don't know why it's doing that. So sorry about that. I mean, I've been on other calls and it hasn't ever done that. So I'm not sure what happened. So
Okay.
I'll look into that later. But yes, thank you for giving me the time. And listen, I'm really excited about tonight. So what we're doing tonight is the AMWNA, we're going to go back to looking at issues that associated with traffic safety over a year ago that Megan did for us. And in February of 2019, when most of you know Megan, when she stepped down, one thing that she did is she still decided to dedicate a lot of her time for safety routes for schools and also for practical urbanization that could help with traffic. And she has got some great ideas, you guys. And I'm really excited and honored to have her on tonight, to have her share what she's got going on. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So I'm going to introduce you to Megan. Hand it over.
Okay. Okay. Bill, can you flip over to Megan?
Megan,
Are you there?
Megan's ready to go. She can talk.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Megan.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Beth. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to talk tonight and to talk a little bit more about about traffic safety and some of the stuff that's going on right now related to that. I have a sort of new concept that I wanted to sort of introduce and talk about tonight that I had an opportunity to talk to the Neighborhood Association about just a few days ago. But first, I just wanted to provide an update about Safe Routes to School. Obviously, with schools being completely shut down, that whole process and the opportunity for kind of public input has been really slowed down. But what I am hopeful of is that this downtime can be kind of used to just collect background data and write like the background sections of the planning document, make the maps and all that sort of more boring stuff but that is very fundamental to the planning process. And so one of the things though that I just posted about today on the Friends of Anderson Mill West page and also on Nextdoor is doing some walk audits and bike audits and how people in the community can help give us some data for the plan by conducting a walk and bike audit. So basically a walk audit or a bike audit is an opportunity for people to go out, walk a route, and take notes about the conditions on that route from the perspective of the pedestrian, or if you're on a bike, the perspective of the bicyclist. And so it's kind of human input that you can't really get other than having a human actually walk or bike and tell us about their experience. So the original plan was to do these in groups. Often you get a group of volunteers together and you walk a route together, but under the circumstances, that's not as viable of an option. So what I did is put together a number of resources for people to be able to go out and do that on their own, because so many people now are just out walking and biking, since that's one of the few things we have left to do with our time. So it's actually a really great opportunity to get that information in place. So if you visit the Friends of Anderson Mill West Facebook page, you can see all of the information about how you can conduct a walk or bike audit in our community. So that is focused on, this is the MUD meeting, so I need to specify that because this is for the Cypress Elementary Safe Routes to School process, it is the data that we're looking to collect is for the Cypress attendance area only. I know we have we have Nauman in here as well, in our MUD as well. And certainly anybody who wants to fill it out for Nauman is more than welcome. And if there's data in there that the MUD can use for other things like sidewalk maintenance or things like that, I'm certainly willing to pass that along to the appropriate people. So that's what's happening with Safe Routes to School right now. And if you want me to provide the MUD with a link that can go on the Safe Routes to School section of the website, then I'm happy to do that as well.
That'd be great, Megan.
Okay, wonderful. So, but the real reason I wanted to speak to you all tonight is because I just wanted to bring up a sort of a new concept that I think, as I've been trying to think through how to deal with our ongoing speeding and traffic safety issues in our community, it's sort of an approach that I think might be really useful, and not only useful for traffic safety, but also for other things as well. So the concept I wanted to talk about is called tactical urbanism. This is a movement that it's really gaining momentum throughout the United States and the world. And essentially what it is a way of making temporary and cost-effective changes to an environment to sort of test the viability of a particular solution or strategy or project before you invest a lot of money or time or effort in a permanent or very expensive project. So if we take street projects as an example, tactical urbanism as a concept is being applied to street calming projects all over the world right now. And so what that looks like is people who are involved in a tactical urbanism project would look at how a street could be redesigned or reshaped to calm traffic, to make it more usable for pedestrians, to make it more usable for bicyclists, and then to use really cheap and temporary materials to actually build out that design for a short period of time. Often these projects take place over a weekend or a week. And the idea is that it gives, there are several benefits to tactical urbanism. One is it allows you to actually test drive different ideas. So you measure the situation before you implement the strategy, you measure it during, and you get really important feedback. Does this particular strategy, I'm sorry if you can hear that notification thing. I don't know how to turn that off on my computer right now. So you get really important data about, did that strategy make any difference at all? Do the residents like the impact that it had on our environment? It also allows you to make the case for certain strategies to elected officials. So in this case, one of the issues that we're dealing with, of course, is the fact that the counties maintain our streets. And so in order for us to do anything, we have to go through the counties. And with traffic calming in particular, the counties at this point, because they deal with, I think probably because they deal with so much rural development, they don't have comprehensive traffic calming policies in place like you would see in a city. And so when last year, when we first started looking at some of these issues, and then when I was with the neighborhood association and the neighborhood association started looking at some of these issues, I had a phone call with Travis County, and he sent me a link to, I think I've talked about this with y'all before, a link to the last meeting at Travis County with the board of the commissioners, where they discussed traffic calming. And this was like, I think this was in 2011. So we're talking many years ago, was the last time they really sat down at a meeting and talked about, whether or not there was a need for a more comprehensive traffic calming policy in the county. And so I listened to that meeting, and at that meeting they had a guy who was with emergency response in some capacity. He was talking about concerns with traffic calming and how it impacts emergency response times. And after this gentleman spoke and the commissioners asked questions, at least from my limited perspective, that was sort of the end of the conversation. And this is very common. It is sort of this half-truth that traffic calming negatively impacts emergency response times. And so there's kind of this conflict between the two. The reality is that the research clearly shows that while there are some forms of traffic calming that negatively impact emergency response times, there are actually many other ways to calm and slow traffic that either have minimal to no impact on emergency response times, or in some cases can actually improve it. So the interesting thing here is that when most people think of traffic calming, the immediate response is either, oh, we need a stop sign, or oh, we need speed bumps. Those are kind of like what everyone immediately thinks of. And of the things that negatively impact emergency response times, stop signs, speed bumps. And yet there are a whole gamut of other options for slowing cars besides those two things. And so, my dream is that the counties will ultimately adjust their policies such that we can have a more comprehensive approach to traffic calming, because the character of our development in our mud is effectively no different than the character of development, half a mile down the road in Cedar Park, a half a mile down the road in the city of Austin. And yet we need to adhere to these ideas about traffic calming that feel very inappropriate given our context. And so one of the ways that tactical urbanism can work is that it's a way to demonstrate, they're sometimes just called demo projects because it's a way to demonstrate to local leaders, or in this case, county leadership, how particular strategies could help address various problems.
So what exactly are you asking the MUD for help with then?
So what I wanted to do tonight is to bring up this concept because not only for traffic calming, but also because I think it's a useful strategy for all sorts of projects, park projects, any public project. Tactical urbanism is a way that you can sort of approach the project in a way that you are trying to test out ideas, do things incrementally before you invest a ton of money. So I wanted to bring it forth simply for that reason. And if any of the board of directors are interested in learning more about tactical urbanism across the board for any purpose, there are a ton of resources. If you Google tactical urbanism, you will get guides and material guides and photos and websites, and it's a huge thing. There's a Facebook group about it, and some of the photos are really, really impressive. The things that people do with paint and hay bales and planters and traffic cones is just mind-blowing. So it's really cool thing from a local leadership perspective to investigate and look into for all sorts of projects. As it relates to traffic calming, what I would love is to have the support of the MUD in, so I've sent an email to Matt Williamson. Lately, we've had some residents online discussing concerns with speeding on Astor Pass. They've been on Nextdoor about it. It continues to be an issue. It's been an issue for years. And especially now with all the kids home and just wanting to play outside in the street, it continues to be an issue. And so, Heather is here tonight. She lives on Astor Pass. She's one of the residents who's expressed concerns about this. And, I think that, so I sent an email to Williamson County, and I brought up the concept of tactical urbanism as one strategy for trying to test out some different ways on Astor Pass as sort of our just kind of guinea pig.
Pilot project.
Yes. Some of the ways that we could look at changing conditions on that road using temporary materials. So it would be like a weekend to a week-long project. And these things would be impermanent. And so he's responded to me. And so we're now in sort of discussion phase because, to most people, tactical urbanism is like, what is that? Is that something that only happens in cities? Well, no, it doesn't. It happens more frequently in cities, but it doesn't have to. And so I would, but I want him to know that the tactical urbanism requires volunteerism. It's a great way to get the community engaged in problem solving because it can only be done through volunteerism, especially these smaller demo projects. It relies on the community coming together to want to demonstrate how we can bring about change for a particular issue. So in that respect, this is not something that I want to do on my own. This is something that I want the neighborhood associations, the HOAs, the board of directors to be involved in, and to the extent possible to express their interest in doing it to the county. In order to put anything in the right of way, we would need a permit. Across the country, places are using all sorts of different permits to do projects like this. In Dallas, one of the first tactical urbanism projects that was done in Dallas, the people who did it simply got a special events permit, which is kind of a catch-all for block parties or street fairs or 5Ks or anything like that. Williamson County has a special events permit. And so what I would like to continue to investigate is whether or not we can secure a special event permit in order to do a project like this on Astor Pass.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that we're looking to do something that would look at traffic specifically on Astor Pass, and I just want to mention that we're bringing the Williamson County traffic or speed trailer into the community. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to put it on Astor Pass so that we can start to see what kind of speeding we've got going on. I don't know, maybe Jana might know, but I don't know if that trailer also counts the number of cars that are going past it or not. Jana, do you know that?
I'm not sure. I think they got a new one, and I'm not sure if that one does or not.
Okay.
Kenzie, when you talked to them, did they say anything about that when you got it for Old Mill and Brighton Bend, and then
They
hopefully
did not.
it'll pass after that?
Yeah, no, they did not. I actually got with Matt Williamson on that, and he just said that he would get it in the works of getting put out on Old Mill near Brighton Bend, but they did not mention if it counts cars that goes by, but I can ask.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Are we looking for assignment of this project to a committee, and for the committee then to suggest that the board endorse a project? Is that the way we should proceed?
I think that would be helpful. Yes.
Okay.
Do you have something else in mind in terms of action by the board?
I think that at this point, until I get a little bit better sense for how Matt's going to respond to this whole thing, I think ultimately communication between the board and Williamson County directly about this, and the fact that it is, that the board sanctions this and wants to collaborate on it, I think is important. So it's not just coming from one resident. It's a sort of chorus of voices and chorus of leadership voices too, saying that this is something that the community is interested in pursuing. I think that's important.
Catherine, I suggest that we consider the possibility of creating an ad hoc committee until this thing moves further along, and perhaps we can assign it to a regular committee. And the reason I'm suggesting that is that we've already got Jana involved. We've already got you involved with that streets department. So it seems to me logical that we might have an ad hoc committee of you and Jana to work on this with Megan.
Okay.
And then downstream, we can take a look at how we ought to handle it.
Okay. Well, I'm interested in having the MUD be supportive of the community's request to try to come up with solutions, because I know that Astor Pass is not the only street that has got speeding problems. I've lived in my house since '96, and people talked about the speeding on Astor Pass, in 1996. About what a problem it is. And I'm sure that Astor Pass is just the first street that we've identified. I'm willing to bet that there are probably going to be another half dozen streets that people are going to say, I've got a problem here. And it's not going to be Old Mill or Little Elm or El Solito. They're going to be talking about some of the inner streets that really need to have some looking at them.
I would say, Megan, I think your street at this point is a new one, because Anderson Mill wasn't open when our homes were built. And now that Anderson Mill has that new pathway, London Lane is so much. I mean, I sit on my porch and watch them just bolt down. But, you would not have had that 5 years ago because that road wasn't open. But now it's like a speedway for teenagers. So.
Yeah, cut through too. So yeah, same situation. I like Astor Pass as a sort of first. It's kind of a low hanging fruit in in my opinion, but that's something I need to talk through with the county some more, because I don't know if it would take it's already a narrow street. There's already parking.
Right.
I don't know that it would take a whole lot of adjusting the way that road is configured to get people to force people to have to slow down. So
I definitely think the narrow streets they can be very dangerous, especially when you have people parking on both sides. And I know there's several in Travis County, but then we would have to go to Travis County to check in with them on that. And I guess Megan, do you have somebody with Travis County that you've dealt with? Is that what you were talking about earlier?
I do, yeah, Brian Burke, and I think y'all have dealt with him as well. He's my contact when he talks to school. So, and he's the guy who helped with the sign that we put in the crosswalk on Dagama.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, he's still there.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to agenda item 3, which is participation by the district in the study of traffic issues related to Astor Pass and other parts of the district, because that's really the segue of where we were attempting to go. And I think that Lewis's suggestion that we create an ad hoc committee is probably the first step, because both Janet and I think Lewis's suggestion that we start with Jan and I probably is a good first step, because both of us have been dealing with some of these things indirectly. And so that's what I'm going to do. And then what I suggest, Megan, is that we meet and we come up with a plan of action. And I'm more than willing, as a member of the community, to say we need to go to a commissioner's court meeting and have a conversation at the commissioner's court level, because I really think that I hope that they like it when people show up, because we like it when people show up at our meetings. So I'm hoping that they're going to be receptive to their constituents showing up at their meetings too. And hopefully we can have a conversation about, one size doesn't fit all, because you know what, there's more than one size living in the county. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so does anybody else have anything else to contribute in terms of the support by the district to trying to start some community involvement to try to come up with some solutions to dealing with this particular problem?
I'd like to add that we've had a long-standing focus on spider lily that has very, very similar problems to Astor Pass. And when we first hired the constables to do traffic enforcement, the 2 streets we directed them to that were not main streets were Spider Lily and Astor Pass.
Really, Astor Pass? I mean, Spider Lily makes total sense to me, because it's the bridge between 2 main thoroughfares.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same problem as Astor Pass.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Megan. As usual, you always have something very important to contribute to the conversation.
Well, I really appreciate you guys letting me talk tonight. Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 4, a report from the district engineer. I'm assuming Herb is here?
I am.
Hey, are you going to be able to screen share and do all of that good stuff?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were going to screen share your engineer's report.
No,
Okay.
It is item 4.
Right, and I know.
I
was hoping you were going to screen share your packet. Okay.
It's baby steps, but at least I figured out which item it was within the packet.
If you guys would like, I could screen share his.
That would be great. I appreciate that.
Give me a second.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
That's wonderful, Mackenzie. Hard at work.
No problem. All right, let's see if this works. Okay.
There we go.
There you go. Very, very fine job. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
We had the infrastructure meeting on Friday, May the 15th. The items covered here are listed. The first item we always generally discuss is the district's accountability for water. This month it's reported at 99%, so that's a wonderful number. The next item on the list there is number 2. Actually, 2 and 5 kind of go together. They're the map updates for the water valves and the street maps. They're 2 separate maps. And one of the things that was brought up by the Director Zervigon is that it would probably be beneficial to turn off some of the layers between the 2 maps so that you know specifically what you're looking at on those maps. So we'll be getting that done and have those back in June for the infrastructure there as well, and anticipate that wrapped up. On item 3, the cleaning and inspection of sanitary sewer system 2019, the Infomark and our office worked together. They got all of the reports from wastewater transport. Our offices reviewed those and met. We actually looked at each location at the sites. There's 11 locations that we noted are going to need to be addressed or repaired or replaced. Actually, there's a couple of sags that are going to have to be addressed. We also identified some sections that we could not find reports for going through the neighborhood. So Infomark reached back to that vendor. That vendor sent over that information on Monday. It has since been uploaded, so we need to review that data and see if there's any additional information that needs to be addressed from those. So we'll be getting on that. And again, I would anticipate at the June meeting that where our offices working together will be able to come up and present the issues and kind of the scope of what we're looking at needing to do on that. Item 4, is probably the last time as far as the infrastructure this shows up. The Badger meter pilot, the meter replacement program. There's a budget item of $50,000. I believe Infomark's going to cover this a little more detail later on in their report. Requesting and confirming the utilization to use those funds for Badger meters. From that, we'll go on to page 2. On the Sunchase Park drainage channel maintenance, there's still some bird baths. I don't know if it's a result of the way the contractor left it when it was wet and rainy, but they need to come back. There's a little fine dressing they need to do up within that side channel specifically. It was also brought to our attention today. I guess there's a rut out there that we're going to take a look at as well and have the contractor fix that while he's out there. I had not noticed that in the past, but we found out about it today, so we'll get that done. The board had requested for pricing and to look at doing a couple of entry handrails to that footbridge to help direct so that people don't just kind of wander off the side slopes of that channel over there in Sunchase Park. Westar Construction has provided a number of $8,200 to install 2 10-foot Cortison steel handrails. Horace, shut up. And sorry, my dog's got wooden floors and he's wanting me to play. The same type of steel that the bridge is made out of. Those will have concrete footers as well. During the meeting, Director Zervigon wanted to go look at that area and double check the length, the overall length. Since that meeting, that has been confirmed based on the conversation at the meeting. Once that was confirmed, the infrastructure was going to recommend the proposal in the amount of $8,200 from Westar to install the handrails and concrete footers as discussed. So Lewis or Art, I don't know if y'all like to go ahead and take action on that or if you got any discussion.
Is there any discussion? Okay.
Lewis,
ahead,
you're
Lewis.
on mute.
Yeah, Art, I think that our infrastructure committee agreed to recommend that amount to the board. Is that correct?
Right, that is correct.
So
$8,200.
okay, so I'll second Art's motion to present it to the board.
Okay, so I'm assuming that there's money in the budget for this, because I know that the bridge itself, I think, was under budget, wasn't it?
So I can speak to that. This is Christy at Infomark. So you came in under budget by $4,500, and you have a budget line item for maintenance expense, which is $6,100, GL account 6,100, that has $8,000 in it. That has nothing's been used toward that account. So yes, you have money in the budget to cover the expense.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So I'm assuming that, what we're looking to put in is going to be something that cosmetically looks similar to what the bridge is itself?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody else have any other comments they want to make?
Do we have any idea about how long that's going to take? I mean, we probably don't, because I know Catherine and I were talking about maybe doing some plantings around there to make people to just walk on the path and not walk down into the trickle channel area. But I guess the best bet would be for it to be safer to have some rails so they don't walk down this really steep part.
Well, I was actually interested in having some very specifically placed plantings to enhance the photo opportunities, because I think that the bridge itself is actually a very interesting location that we could advertise as a place in our community to take photos of, of yourself. I've done photos of family photos on bridges before, or next to fences, etc. And I was just looking for something of detail to put, in the corners to, sort of make the photos even better. But that was really my point there. But I agree. I think we need to have the handrails.
And it's a pretty area, with all those oak trees hanging over. It really is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's safe. It's so safe that people can actually walk the whole trail without having to walk down that, giant embankment and then jump over the trickle channel to get over to the other side.
Yeah.
Well, the contractor had actually called me earlier today to check the status of the board meeting. I get the impression they're kind of ready to get going on this.
Okay.
I know we've got a 4-day weekend coming up. So based on what I know, I would say I would almost believe it by the end of the month they would have this done.
Oh, okay. That's fabulous. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and call the vote unless there's any more comments from the board. Okay. Louis?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes too. Okay.
All right. Well, the next item on the agenda, on our agenda, is the Phase 5 sidewalk maintenance program. We had the locations reviewed earlier in the year, and then this outbreak pandemic started up, so kind of held off. The infrastructure committee is ready to move forward with this project and get this thing going now. Proposal that's been still standing from CRC, which is the concrete leveling company.
Okay.
Their dollar amount is $29,719.80. And the areas are all scattered out, but they're basically starting from Lakeline Oaks, working towards Brighton Bend. And then we get around the corner a little bit, but there's a whole long list of those, and I can provide those. The infrastructure's got that list.
Okay. Please tell me we're dealing with the corner of Tierra Blanco and Tierra Blanco Cove. It is a 4-inch rise. I mean, it is a step up. It is that bad.
It's good. I did not bring that list to my house with me, but we will verify that. And
Okay.
we will confirm it.
Because we've attempted to do some leveling, further down Tierra Blanco at this house, but it is really bad at that corner. It's almost like the sidewalk on the corner where it goes down, where it goes down to the street, it's like it's sunk 6 inches. That is how bad it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs to be addressed.
We will make whatever adjustments we need to on that list to ensure that this gets covered if it's not on the list.
Yeah, because I honestly think if you look at the severity in terms of leveling that's going on, that is probably the worst corner in the district.
Okay. We can do that.
Okay.
The other proposal as a part of this same project is there is one area that is definitely a remove and replace section. That section's over on Portwood Cove. And then via another committee, they had come to the infrastructure to ask about getting pricing for putting in essentially 3 accessible ramps. 2 will be at the corner of Kristen and Old Mill there by the MUD office. And then the other one would be up at Sun Chase and Old Mill. And those are crossings for the students and residents, but there's no ramp. You have a ramp on one side, but not the other.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, and then I believe this other committee had also worked with the county that once the ramps, if they do build the ramps and they're installed, they will come in and do the striping across the street to accommodate an official crosswalk, which you don't currently have. That amount was $10,200.
Okay.
Question, Bill, can we move both of these since they're the same project? Can we move them as one motion, or should we do 2 motions?
You should do 2 motions because it's 2 different contractors.
Correct. Okay, Art, we agreed to recommend these to the board, didn't we?
Yeah, we agreed to recommend both the $29,719 for the leveling and the $10,200 for the items described just by her right now.
Okay, so I'll move the first one, the 29,000, and Art, you want to second it?
I'll second that, and I'll move the second one for 10,200.
And I'll second that one.
Okay, so let's start with discussion about the 29,719 for leveling. Do we have any other discussions? Maybe somebody else has got a really bad corner or stretch that they wanted to make sure got considered.
The only one I know of is the one I talked to her about. It's in section 1, and it's an old oak tree that has a bunch of roots, and nothing really can be done about that yet. So,
okay,
until we figure out something else.
Okay, so any more discussion about the CRC proposal for 29,719.80?
Well, I did want to add, that is within the budget, right, Herb?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead and call the vote. Lewis?
Yes, we have 2 different votes here. So
Right, yeah.
I'm voting. Let's do one at a time. I'm voting.
That's what I'm doing, yes.
Okay,
Art?
Yes, on the 29,000.
Okay. Chris?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes also. Okay, so now let's discuss the West Star construction for 10,200, and remind me if I've got this right, Herb. We're going to be putting in the slanted sidewalks, and then after we get those in, the county is going to come in and put the striping in for the crosswalk. Is that what this is about?
And that's not mine.
Okay.
Not mine.
Not mine either.
Not mine.
That's Iris.
I was gonna say, I think we all know that bark.
Okay, Herb, what were you going to say?
So I said, yes, that is correct.
Okay, so.
Take care of both of those intersections.
Okay. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to add to the conversation? Okay, I'll go ahead and call the vote then. Lewis?
Yes. Iris and I vote yes.
Okay. Art?
I vote yes.
Jana?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And I vote yes too. Okay.
All righty. The Hunters Glen had come to the infrastructure and requested about the district looking at tying in the sidewalk from Sun Chase Boulevard all the way up the channel to Madeline Loop Pond, where the DG trail goes around the pond. We had a contractor go and look at that. Their pricing to do all of that concrete work, which is pretty substantial, was $43,850. That'll be having an accessible ramp coming off of Sunchase to get down into the pond. We have to comply with TOS in order to do that. All the construction would have to comply with TOS to get all the way back there. After looking at that, one of the things the infrastructure had requested our office to do at the meeting was to go ahead and prepare a drawing, one, to be able to see exactly what we're talking about, because although I may know, I need to make sure, one, I'm explaining the locations correctly. And then two, it was also discussed due to the amount of work, the dollar amount of work, that this would be put off and considered for the next fiscal year. So in the meantime, between now and the next budget cycle, we'll be putting the drawing together, the little sketch together, as well as being able to clearly define and show what is being discussed.
Okay. Okay, so what we're talking about then is taking out the plantings and the rocks that are at that location into Madeline Loop on Sunchase, and then replacing it with a ramp that's got the right slope. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and it'll involve a handrail because of you're going to have to go to the maximum so that we don't have to go down so far. We can kind of shorten it up and steepen it up, but we have to have a handrail to comply. And then we've got 2 storm crossings through there. And then we've got a long distance of about 700 plus or minus feet to get from the end of the trail currently in the pond all the way back up to that DG. So it's a pretty long distance, and we can reflect that in a drawing pretty easily.
Right. Yeah, it is a long distance. I'm just sort of curious how you're going to be compliant and go over some of those storm drains. Well, right now you just have nice rocks that you walk over.
Well, you have to stretch those crossings out. You can't just go and do the crossing like it is right now.
Oh.
You have to start back 15, 20 feet each direction and come at it gradually to make that crossing.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
And Herb, we're still going to utilize all the boulders and stuff that are there, right? Just to kind of make it a little prettier.
That's the plan. I know we had discussed that on Friday. Art, I really will need to look and probably even work with Sunscape on that part of it. One of the problems I did note is we can't encroach into that channel a whole lot because we have water that's discharging out of that box culvert. So we have to look at all of that and take that into consideration as to really how much of that we can use.
Let's try to keep them.
I'd like to add that there are a remarkable number of people using that path, even though it's not complete.
Yes.
Especially now, right, Lewis?
A lot of people out walking.
But you don't realize what a big space Madeline Loop is until you got 2 dogs chasing each other and they're running hard, and there's a lot. It's a big space. You don't realize it is a really big space. So.
Okay.
Okay.
And that was it. Unless anybody's got any questions about this stuff.
Nope.
All right. Well, y'all have a wonderful evening then.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Okay. So, agenda item number 5, report from the district's landscape contractor on landscape maintenance and suggested landscape improvements. Do we have somebody from Sunscapes here tonight?
No, there's nobody on the call.
Okay, we'll continue on then. Agenda item number 6, report from the security patrols. Do we have a constable on the phone with us tonight?
No constable.
Okay, let's then jump to agenda item 7, report from the district manager. Who's gonna go first? You gonna go first, Mackenzie?
Yeah.
Okay.
If y'all don't mind. Okay. So let me know when you guys can see it.
Oh, we can.
Okay. So here, I'm gonna make this a little bigger. I know it's always kind of hard to see. Does this help?
I just love this. I really do.
Okay. So as Herb mentioned, we are going to request the $50,000 for the Badger meter replenishment. And I do want to go into a little more detail about this. So we currently have 446 meters that are over 1.5 million currently that need to be changed out. We currently have 214 in stock from a previous stock up. And that 50K would give us the opportunity to get an additional 253 of the meters and the boxes together, bringing us to a total of 465, which gives us plenty to cover what we need to cover now, but also a little more, because as this time goes on, we are going to hit more meters that are going to get to that range that are going to need to be replaced. So I would like for the board to make a motion to approve this if y'all.
Okay, so and we have a budget line for this already in place?
I believe so.
Yes,
Christy can confirm.
you do. It's part of your maintenance cap. It's a 50,000 that's in your maintenance cap.
Okay, okay, that's fine. Okay, did somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Okay, I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Okay, so I'm going to ask a couple of questions there, Mackenzie. You went over the numbers really fast.
Oh, sorry.
So how many do we know, have we identified right now that are over 1.5?
We have 446 currently.
That are over 1.5?
Correct.
Okay, and how many do we have in-house?
We currently have 214 in-house.
Okay, so then the plan is we're gonna bring in a whole bunch of meters, and then how long is it gonna take for you to do the switch out on the 400 plus meters?
A lot of that depends on obviously the current pandemic status and, you know, going forward with the whole touching of meters and things like that and the safety of it all. But I think that we would just continue to roll with our normal standard meter change out program. So I don't think we can put an exact number on how long it would take to do all 466.
Okay.
446, my apologies. So I don't think I could give you a good guesstimate, but
okay, so
a
it's
lot
just
of that
gonna
just
be
depends.
an ongoing thing that's just gonna start happening.
Yes, correct.
Okay, okay. Does anybody have anything else to add to the conversation before I call the vote?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I always want to stress this when we talk about this subject. We have an annual budget for meter replacement. It's a maintenance issue to replace meters that have aged out. This is not a one-time thing. This is a regular annual budget that we spend to replace meters that age out. Is that correct, Christy?
Correct.
You are correct. And we held off until we decided which meter we were going to go off of. So that's why we're a little bit behind on our schedule. And we have 446 that need to be replaced according to our SOP. So yeah, we're going to try to get caught up by the end of this year.
Okay, that's a lot.
I think one of the things that's happened is there's been some confusion because of the new meters coming in. Some persons have alleged or believe that this is a new program, and it is not. It is a maintenance program that is continuing every year, and I'd like to tamp down those wild allegations. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. Louis?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes also. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Also, kind of just a reiteration, we are at 99% accounted for. The valve and hydrant survey is, I know this has been on a line item for a while now. We finally got the data in a downloadable format for Gray Engineering to actually review it. So it took pulling some teeth and figuring out via YouTube videos of exactly how we do that from the system, but we did it. And that is over with Gray Engineering now for review. Again, like he also mentioned, that the collection system and televising reports, we've briefly reviewed them, and then Robert with Infomark had noted that there were those missing portions of the reports. I believe that they are currently reviewing those since we have now gotten back the additional data. And then for parks and trails, you'll notice we have quite a bit in this section. But sorry, Anderson Mill West electrical disconnect has been repaired. Now that it's been repaired, we will get a price estimate of exactly how much was spent on it over to the insurance company, and then they will recommend the reimbursement amount. I do have some pictures of that. I'll show you once I get through with my executive summary. Hatch Pond inlets were also repainted. I know we showed this to the Parks Committee meeting. They look really good. I have some
They
pictures
do.
of those.
They look really nice.
I have some pictures of those as well. The tennis courts have been reopened under the precautions set forth, which are, no more than 4 participants per court. And we are stressing this, that does include the instructors as well. We have been in contact with both Kathy and Sherry about this, and we hope that on a go-forward basis we got it tackled. And we are aware that the constables are also enforcing this, so it's not just a district rule, it is actually an enforceable rule that the constables are looking for. The AARP grant proposal applications are completed and submitted. Thank you, Megan, for all of your help. We tackled this together, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about it. I won't go into too much detail, but we also put something on the website, and I believe Megan has this posted in several areas as well, as to what grants we have applied for. One of them is a block party trailer for the district that is rentable, and it will include a number of great party additions to any sort of, party in the park or movie night, that kind of thing. And we also made a proposal for the grant for the lighting in Anderson Mill West. So we look forward to hopefully hearing back about those sometime by the end of June or early July. They have pushed out the application deadline till the 15th, so we can only imagine that the approval deadline would also be pushed out, but they haven't put an exact date on it. And other than that, that's all we had on it. And we made sure it was on the website with the logo, because that is a really big part of this, is branding for the AARP people. And as mentioned earlier, the trailer speed sign will be getting installed at on Old Mill near Brighton Bend. Matt with Williamson County was not able to give me a date just yet. I have requested one if he could give me an estimated date of when this would happen. He did let me know that what their standard protocol is they will put it on one side of the road for an entire week, and then it goes to the opposite side of the road for an entire week. And when asking for this particular location, another location had been brought up, which was on Hatch near Meadowlark. He informed me that that was not in Williamson County's jurisdiction, but more so Cedar Park. So he wanted me to reach out to Stephen. I cannot remember his last name, with Cedar Park. And kind of a happy accident happened here. So I'd reached out to Stephen, and I don't think he clearly understood that I was just asking for the mobile speed sign to be put out. He actually reviewed the area for speed limit signs and discovered that on the southbound direction near Spider Lily View, approximately 1,000 feet north of Meadowlark, there is a need for an additional speed sign in the ground. So we will be getting a new one in that area. So happy accident, we're gonna get an additional speed sign. And then he informed me to go ahead and reach out to the police department with them, and that we could pursue the speed sign, the mobile one, through them. So I thought that that was a nice little happy accident. And then we also had someone drop off large containers without lids of oil directly next to the Astor Pass Pond sign, and your maintenance tech did take those and properly dispose of them. We just thought that that was kind of crazy that they took the time to put it in their vehicle and drive very carefully to get them there, but couldn't take them to the proper disposal place. So just thought that was good to note. And then another thing to note also is your maintenance tech has also noticed that the chipped wood inside of a lot of the playscapes is starting to grow a bit of mold, simply because it's not being, run around on and moved and stirred up. So this is just something we've started to notice. I'm hoping that the sun will take care of this if we can get a good dry spell, and it won't continue to grow and stay really damp. Anderson Mill West. So I noted with Scott. So Scott and I had a call last Friday where I'd noted several of these things that are going to be down here in the list. There are several shrubs off of El Salido that are dead or dying. I think there is one that is entirely bare, and then there is one that's about 60% bare. So his crew is going to check into that and go ahead and give a good overview for the rest of the shrubs off of El Salido at Anderson Mill West Park. Madeline Loop, the DG is getting very scarce in a lot of areas. I did a nice little park tour with your maintenance tech just to kind of walk things and check on things. And we noticed there were several spots where there were some ants that are really getting into the DG trail, causing lines and tracks. Scott is aware of this, and they will also be looking into both of those. Sunchase Pond in the back, where we have the cream-colored picnic tables. On one table in particular, it looks like someone got bored and went back there and decided to burn some of the coating off of the table. We're looking into ways to seal it up where it's burned so it doesn't continue to rust out the rest of the table, because it is a pretty severe burn all the way down to the metal. And then also there were a lot of ruts in Sunchase just from the mowers going a little too quick. I did discuss this with Scott, and he said that he would have a talk with the crew just to make sure they aren't leaving ruts behind when they do mow. And then 4 also touches on what we have already approved, which is the replenishment of the meters for the standard meter changeout program.
Mackenzie? On Sunchase, we have a person that lives right next to the drainage channel on the east side of Sunchase. And we had a huge struggle years ago because the landscape contractors used to run their lawnmowers across his front yard, their riding lawnmowers, to go down. So we put a bunch of plants there. Well, now we've got Sunscape, and Sunscape doesn't have that history. And so that resident reports to me that it's happening again. So we need to talk to Sunscape about that, and we may wind up having to put some kind of a barrier there.
I actually noticed that as well, Lewis, when I took my walk, and I actually took pictures of the ruts in his yard and sent them to Scott last Friday. He's supposed to be getting with his crew, even though they're very hard to see because that neighbor had not mowed his grass in a while, so you could barely tell, but I immediately identified those as ruts from the lawnmower. So I went ahead and took some pictures while we were out there. We walked all of Sunchase as well as Madeline Loop. So I did take pictures and send that over to Scott, because we actually had a very detailed discussion at one of the most recent park committee meetings about that particular item. So he's going to talk with his crew, and our maintenance tech is going to keep an eye out for it. And if it happens again, I do suggest that we pursue putting something else there so they stop driving through it.
And we were thinking about putting a sign out there, or a reminder sign, like they're supposed to only be going in and out over by Madeline Loop and not up that.
Yes. Another issue too was that they honestly have not been going in Madeline Loop and mowing as they should be. It got very, very tall to the point that when they did finally get in there to mow it or weed whacker it, it was not mowable. And they had to cross hatch it, which it looks pretty terrible right now. So I did speak with Scott about that, and I asked him to look into whatever schedule it was on for mowing and let us know if there's a reason it has not been done in quite a while. I understand it can be hard to get the mowers down there because it stays pretty damp, but at the same time, I do feel like they could have been going down there with some weed whackers or something. So he's going to look into that and get back with me. He knows that I wasn't very pleased about it. I also took pictures of it as well. And then another thing that Herb mentioned earlier, the ruts at the beginning of Sunchase, when you walk in, I think Lewis can attest to this, there's a very large rut that has been there since the bridge installation. It just looks like it got really rutted pretty bad, and none of us have said anything about it since. And I figured since we're going to have Westar come back out and they are the ones that perform the work on the bridge, they can go ahead and repair the rut. So Herb said that he would definitely get with them on that.
Yeah, absolutely. The south end of Madeline Loop Pond is always wet. It's eternally wet, and it's very difficult to cut in there. But their failure to cut extended way beyond that area. You're right, Mackenzie.
Yes, and it's causing issues with that trickle channel always getting very, very full because the grass is not being cut. So it's extra maintenance on your maintenance tech's end of, maintaining that, where if Sunscape was doing their job to maintain at least some of that mowing, it wouldn't be nearly as bad. So,
hey, Mackenzie, this is Art. Thanks again for having them mow that strip of land on that trail between the two ponds, between Castle Drive and Anderson Mill. I don't know why they weren't mowing it. I don't know why
I'm not entirely sure either.
Want it mowed.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. So hopefully going forward they do, and if they don't, feel free to let me know.
Okay, thank you.
All right. right, does anybody have any questions with regards to the executive summary? If not, we'll go on.
Don't forget your pictures at the
Oh,
end.
I won't. Let me show you those really quick.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing and then reshare. Okay.
Good report, Mackenzie.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a bit because this one is really hard to see. So as you can see before over here, you all can see this, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. On the left-hand side, this is before the repair. This little like lever looking thing right here was supposed to have an actual red lever inside of it called the quick disconnect for the power box. And you can kind of see it in the picture on the right-hand side. I'm going to zoom into it if I can. So do you see this little red lever here?
Yeah, sort of, a little.
Yeah, it's it's not the best picture, but that is what they did repair. And to do so, they actually had to go into the box and into the tubing that goes below it and rewire the entire thing to have a new disconnect on it. So that repair has been made. And then we are looking at exactly how much we spent here to see if we can possibly put a 4-foot fence off of this so it is not accessible without a lock. If it fits into our not to exceed limit, we will be doing that. And if not, we can pursue it at another time just to ensure that nothing else happens to the electrical boxes since we don't have cameras in that area. And then here are the lovely inlets at Hatch that your maintenance techs painted. They look really good. They're nice and colorful.
Yeah, they look really nice. I agree.
They match the benches pretty well too, our new blue benches.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Those are all the pictures I had. All right, I'm gonna go back to my report. 1 second. Okay. All right, everybody can see our report again. No, right?
Yes, we see it.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go on a little, oh, too much. So here, your total number of accounts billed was 1927, which is right on par with last year. Total gallons consumed was a little higher. We're at 12,280. That's more than likely because the abundance of people that are home right now using water and just the extra kids at home and things like that throughout the day. Again, that will also reflect on the accounts billed. So we're a little higher here at the 6,373. And then our total receivables was slightly higher than last year as well at 219,646. And then here is your 12-month history revenue by category reflecting the numbers above. So we're looking on par. Here is our accounts receivables collections. Down here are your breakouts of 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 120. Looking good there. And then delinquent letters mailed. So I wanted to note we did send out 127 letters. Obviously, we did not hang any tags and we did not disconnect for non-payment whatsoever. We just sent some letters out to let people know that their accounts were delinquent. And then this is your water accountability report where we're good at 99%. And then this here, we had TCEQ come out and do a comprehensive compliance investigation. And these first few pages are just general data that they send us. And I do want to note that this was an investigation as a normal investigation, not for any associated reasons. So there was no violations that led to the investigation, but also no violations are being alleged as a result of the investigation. So we passed. That was great news, just to put that out there. But other than that, I think that's all I had. Does anybody have any questions?
No. Great report, Mackenzie.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so now I guess we get to turn it over to Michael.
Michael, let me know if you'd like me to present for you.
Anytime. Mackenzie is now very aware of the financial side of the operations. I bored her with the details quite a bit as we were complying with the open records request on the financials and the bills and invoices. So good work in training. Okay, let me see if I can remember how to share here and I'll walk through the report. I have too many things open. Wow. I think that's it. All right, so our financials, and of course the pretty opening page, which, you know, just there for cover. The calendar showing that in this month, we'll be reviewing the April financials, which we will. Tax, this is definitely worth taking a look at here. On the taxes, last fiscal year, at this through April, you're at over 98% collected. This year, you're under 96%. And so that's a little bit concerning. You know, we expect that you'll get to your 99%, but you're shallowing at this point. And given the you know, dislocated economic situation, the uncertainty surrounding that, it's possible that there are some people who are not in position to make their property tax payments. In the long run, you'll get that money plus interest, but for this fiscal year, that's definitely an issue that we need to look at. And we'll be following that. It's possible that we'll get caught up in this next month, but in terms of, so for the fiscal year thus far, you're about 14.6 behind budget on the property tax. That's being well more than offset though by the fact that your water fees and sewer fees are up. The water fees are up dramatically, over 81,000. So you're up 85,000 in revenue versus budget. Normally when you are up that much in water, you're going to see that your expenses related to water are going to be up. And so you're not necessarily netting a big amount, but at this point in this snapshot, you are. Your water purchases are 11,000 under budget. Part of that can be a timing issue. We're reporting based on the billing cycle. The expenses are based on the you know, your water provider's billing cycle. The city, they don't match exactly, but over the course of this is you know, 7 months of data to show that for the fiscal year thus far, you're that far ahead. The indication is that you are ahead. You might not be quite that far ahead, but you are ahead, which indicates that the that you're managing the water sewer resources effectively. Scrolling on down, your total expenses are 13,000 less than budget. As I pointed out, a good bit of that is the water, various ticket items. The garbage is running under budget, which is good. The parks, across all the parks, you're a little bit over budget, as we'd pointed out last month. You know, there's, it hasn't, the bottom line on that hasn't changed very much from last month. But the parks, we under budgeted the standard maintenance items, I believe. And so we'll have to address that in the budget next year. And so worth pointing out, the big ticket items, the sewer system maintenance, that was the jetting and cleaning by wastewater transport and televising by wastewater transport services. Lisa had a big budget number sitting, waiting for that to occur. And so now we've taken that. And there was also the water system maintenance, that was the other big project coming in. And so, but again, for the year, you're well under budget on all of those items. So for the year, the district is 275,000 better than budget through the end of April. You can try to make that bad news, but I can't. I'm sorry. I can try, but can't. You know, our graphical representation of the same information. This is the maintenance cap tracking sheet showing those big ticket items coming through in April. Christy, did you want to chime in on that?
Yes, I will. So one item that I wanted to speak about is the collection system televising that we did that did come in under budget, 150,000. So that was not marked to be a capital or a cap maintenance project under our cap in the contract with Infomark. However, accounting did put it through under the cap. What I'm going to request after researching this a bit more is that we hold the Infomark payments until we can adjust and make this correct and put the monies in the right bucket. So when we get to the disbursements, I'm just going to ask the board to hold the Infomark check until we can make sure and verify that we have the money in the right bucket.
Okay.
All right. So moving on, the balance sheet, nothing of exceptional note here. You know, this is what it is. You continue to have a balance sheet. There really is nothing on it that's really exceptionally notable at this point. So we'll move on to the cash sheet. Across all funds, you have almost 4 million, 3.1 of that in operating. And you're in good shape to make your bond payments, the next ones that come up. The investment report, let's see if I can hide. Yeah, there we go. The investment report, you know, not, showing that you are in real, this actually is worth pointing out. Interest rates have collapsed. If I would be lucky to get a CD at a 0.3 right now, and you're getting a return of 1.74 on that through July. So that is wonderful news. Sadly, when we renew, I don't expect that we'll be able to get anywhere near that rate. But for these few months here, you are sitting very pretty. So Elisa set you up very well there. The cash balance trend report, and this shows you know, the standard life cycle of a MUD, or a yearly life cycle. You draw down your reserves, your tax money comes in, and then you draw it down. And so that's what's happening here, exactly as you projected. The operating fund balance, you were projecting that you would end the year at a little over 2 million. Because you have been doing so much better than budget, we are now projecting that you'll be have a reserve of a little over 2.3 million. We'll continue to track that. The checks here, the bills and invoices. Christie's noted check 4025 to Infomark. We're going to hold that. That's our regular monthly invoice, and then one small invoice that should have been a CAP invoice. And so we're going to try to correct that for you. Otherwise, worth noting on this, something that you don't normally see, arbitrage compliance specialists completed their research on the Series 2003 bond, covering several cycles, 5-year cycles. And so their total billing of $3,700 is here. And then in the course of their action, they discovered that the district had earned more interest than it was legally allowed to in the 2003-2008 period. And so the district is legally required to pay that overage plus accrued interest on it to the IRS. And so that's check 4028 in the amount of $7,888.90. Just under 5,000 of that is the interest earned. The rest of it is the interest on the interest.
Michael, could I interrupt for a second?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the two items Michael just described, we're going to address under agenda item 14 in detail, and those two invoices from the invoices from the consultants we'll look at, and also the payment to the IRS. So we can either approve them contingent upon board review in 14, or we could skip around a little bit and address them in 14. That's kind of up to you, Catherine. But I want to point out we are going to specifically review those amounts, and if we have to come back to your approval of bills, we will. I don't think that'd be necessary.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and we'll approve the check register after we've gone through number 14.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So the total amount contingent upon all of that is the $321,968.29, and that's all the activity since the last board meeting. And all of that is in the open records request. Backup for all of that is there. The next several pages are the transfers. The first one here is the tax transfer, the 4,300 and some in taxes, splitting them as they need to between the general operating fund and the debt service fund. This transfer is to fund the operating account, moving money from our text pool account into the checking operating account to cover the bills and invoices that are this meeting. And this third transfer is a smaller transfer to fund the manager's account for the month as well. This page continuing to track the open records request costs, and they continue to grow. And then we have the authorized not to exceed amount tracking report. And feel free to let me know if any of these projects are complete and don't need to be tracked anymore. I came in on this and I've been following what Lisa was doing, but I will be glad to take any instruction on what it is that you want to see here. I'll admit that I am not an expert on this sheet. I know how to fill it in, but I do, would prefer to understand just a little bit more strongly. I can see we're tracking things, but I'd be happy to discuss this and make sure I know exactly what I'm doing so that I can report accurately.
Michael, I suggest you review this with, among other people, with Herb. Much of this projects he's running.
All right, so if I think I will stop screen sharing. Any questions?
Catherine, what you might want to do, Catherine, is go ahead and approve. Bless you. Approve the 3 transfers presented, and then that'll just leave the check register when we get to 14.
Okay. Okay. So somebody want to make a motion to approve the transfers? Art, that's usually your game.
I'll make a motion to approve all the transfers.
Okay. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Take Janice.
Okay. Okay, I'll go ahead and call the vote. Louis?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes too.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Okay, so now why don't we do this just so we don't forget about anything. Let's go ahead and jump down to, which was the one where we needed to talk about the arbitrage. What number was that?
Number 14, Catherine.
Yeah, let's jump down to number 14 and we'll deal with that, and then we'll take care of our approving our check register.
Why don't you give me a second? Let me see if I can share these documents. 1 second. Okay, can everybody see the report that's by arbitrage compliance specialist?
Yep.
Okay, so we did meet with the audit committee and bond counsel, and we reviewed all this material in detail. But I'm going to take you through it quickly, and then we'll see if there are any other questions, and then we have some action items. So we have 2 reports. You'll see this first one is for the Series 2003 bond issue, and it's for the period of 2009 through 2013. And when you go to the conclusions, they made a calculation. This is the yield restriction calculation, which is the interest that you're making on money while you still have that money that hasn't been spent. And there's a limit to that based on the interest rate of the bond issue. So they did that calculation, and every other report that they've done so far has come out this way, except the other one we're going to discuss tonight, where they did the calculation. We're below the amount we were allowed to make. And so there's no payment due to the IRS. There's no report required. This report will go in your file. So in the unlikely event you're ever audited by the IRS, the reports are available. We don't have to do all this work over again. And we've been told by the bond attorneys that if there is a report like this, it never goes any further with the IRS. So this report is a good report. The action tonight would be to accept this report and the next one and some other actions. So let me stop there and see if anybody has any questions about this report. Everybody has a copy of it. It does do all the calculations. Those are all attached.
Okay, so scroll up back to where he said that it was a good report. So basically what we were paying out 3.6 and we got 2.48 and it's like, okay, we're good. Is that basically we earned less than what we were paying out?
That's just substantially correct. When you issue bonds, you essentially are borrowing money at a certain rate, but it's tax exempt. And so if you turn around and you actually make more money on that money you borrowed than you paid for it, the IRS is concerned because then you're getting it without paying taxes, and then you're making money without paying taxes. So yes, in this case, the yield or what we could get on investments during that period of time was less than what we paid for the money, so there's no payment due.
Okay.
Would a motion be in order now?
Yeah, to accept the first report. Yes.
Okay. Before I make a motion, Chris and I were the audit committee, and Chris, can you confirm that we reviewed this material and we're both comfortable with it?
Yes, it was explained and all our questions we had were answered to our satisfaction.
You want to make the motion? I'll second it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the report.
I second it.
And that I was going to say, and that we recommend that we pay the IRS and then pay the bill.
Well, Chris, we're still in the first report where there's no payment right now. This is what we're accepting.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so Louis, you put a second. Does Art or Jana have any more questions that they want to ask?
No, I'm good.
So the period of this was 2009 to 2013. Is that what it was?
Correct.
So I'm trying to think. This was right after the crash.
Yeah.
So interest rates weren't that high.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. No, I don't have any more questions, so I'll go ahead and I'll call the vote. So Louis?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
And I vote yes too.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the next report. Okay, so you'll note that this report is the same bond series. It's 2003, but it's a different time frame. It's 2006 to 2008. And you recall that was prior to the economic downturn. And so interest rates were higher during that period. And we had a considerable amount of money from prior bond issues, surplus bond proceeds for quite a while. And we tried to use that money as effectively as we could annually to pay maintenance and operation costs that Infomark incurred. And we could pay that money, transfer it without TCEQ approval. We did it a number of years, often over 100,000 a year, but apparently the money wasn't spent quite quick enough. And so we have a calculation here that's a little different than the last one, which is we actually made too much money on the money we were holding because interest rates were higher. And as a result, there was an amount that's $49.9307 due to the IRS. And then there's another amount, which is essentially the interest from 2008 till now on that amount. There's no penalties included. We don't think the IRS will assess any penalties in this circumstance. So the total is the check that Michael mentioned, this $7,888.90 is recommended by this report to pay to the IRS. And we have some other documents we'll look at on how that payment's going to be made. But this is where the amount comes from, is this report.
Hey, I have a question. So this is not considered a penalty, correct?
It's a late payment. In a perfect world, we would have done this calculation in 2008 and found that we owed about $5,000 to the IRS, and we would have paid it. through inadvertence that was not detected. And in fact, when we talked to the tax council, in the early years, even though these rules have been on the books a long time, they haven't really been focused on. But now everybody, including your district, has consultants that are going to do regular 5-year reports on all your bond issues that haven't been paid. So it's actually a small amount of money in the large scheme of things, yes. And it is something we definitely need to do. But yeah, there's no actual penalty, but there is interest on the late payment.
So do we have, do like the previous report, do we have okay, your interest on your bonds was this, but you but you earned this much on your money? Did we have one of those? I'm sort of curious.
Yeah, let's see.
Because, you know, I'm going to be quite honest. The last time I remember there being significant interest rates, it was like in 1979 when we had 13% inflation. And it's like, you know, it's a long time ago since I can remember there being really high yields on interest rates. So here we're going 2.4. But wait, we're paying 3.6, but our yield was 2.4, and that's too much. Is that what you're saying?
Hold on.
It's not the same as the previous report? The percentages?
Wow.
So we got just a minute. We got 3.62% yield when the investment yield was 2.488. So we got more money free.
And that's why we're paying the interest in retroactively, basically. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the yield on the investments, that's what we're paying. That's what our bonds are paying out at 2.4. Is that where we're saying that right? And then, but we actually earned 3.6. Okay.
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
And all of this has been reviewed thoroughly by bond counsel.
Okay.
And they agree with the calculations.
Now, going forward, is there anything we can do in the future? Are we going to do it more periodically, or is it just, you know?
Yes, we have, it's in this package. We'll get to it in a second. We have compliance procedures that we're going to recommend adoption. Okay. And the investment officer of the district will be responsible for most of those duties, and there'll be an annual review. But also, more importantly, we're going to have these same consultants available to make proposals as the reports come due. Whenever a report is normally due, they'll give us a proposal, we'll approve it, and they'll do the reports on time.
Okay.
Yeah, you're muted, Art, so I didn't hear that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I'd recommend we go ahead and at least approve this report so we can go to the next section.
Okay, I need somebody to make a motion.
I'll move this one. Chris will move the others. I'll move this one. Chris, can you second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So do we have any more discussion about this report? Okay, I'll go ahead and call the vote. Louis?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
And I vote yes too. Okay.
So next we have their invoice for the work they did. And they detail, it's really 2 reports, $3,700, 1850 report. You previously approved their proposals, engagement letters, and they have those attached to the invoice. Louis and Chris, I assume you're recommending approval of payment of this invoice?
That's correct. You agree?
Yes.
Okay.
So why don't we get a motion on this invoice?
Okay, I'll so move.
Somebody give me a second. Okay, great. Okay, we have any discussion?
Nope.
Okay, I'll call the vote. Louis?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay.
All right. That's just their engagement letters behind that. Okay, next we have the compliance guidelines. Was Art's question is, what are we gonna do going forward? And these were developed by the bond attorneys and are recommended for approval tonight. I don't know if you've had a chance to read through them, but in paragraph 3, we have the investment officers are responsible. Now, right now, the investment officer is Lewis, but it could be in the future, it could be a different person or persons. So rather than putting a name in there, it's advisable to have an office. And we felt the investment officer was the best fit, and Lewis agreed. And so he'll have some responsibilities under this policy. And you can read through the policy. But the key part about review on an annual basis, in addition to engaging consultants, is towards the end here in section 9. Designated tax compliance officer, well, that'll be the investment officer. Right now, that's Lewis. Will coordinate annual review to investigate, monitor, assure, document compliance with the requirements. That'll be an annual review in addition to working with the consultants on an ongoing basis. And the bond attorneys have recommended this be approved, and it's also part of the process of resolving this with the IRS. So,
Okay, so let me ask some questions. So the period of time that we paid for, was up through what, 2008, and then we've also done something through 2013. It was 9 to 13, I think it was. That was the first report. So are we then going to do another report that was like 2014 to 2018? How is that going to work?
Catherine, I believe they've done the other reports.
Okay.
We had some reports that they did previously.
Okay.
Then they asked for authorization for this additional work. So they actually did a preliminary report on the same time period where we have this liability. And then at the same time, they recommended the next report. So I do believe they're working to have a report every 5 years on the issue. And I think they're on top of the ones that are needed.
Okay, so this isn't going to be something that's going to be done annually in coordination with the annual audit that we do. This is just going to be a 5-year thing.
Well, annually, the investment officer will do a review of where we stand, but the consultants are looking at 5-year increments on, I think you have 3 bond issues outstanding. So they're all different timetables. So it won't just be every 5 years. It'll be every 5 years on every bond issue, depending on when they're issued.
Okay, so then does that mean that our investment officer, i.e. Lewis or Chris, are going to be doing some sort of annual review to try to make a determination if we have an issue? Is that what we're talking about?
Correct.
And
Correct.
if they think we've got an issue, then they're going to spin up, okay, we need to bring the consultants in to make sure that we're not that we don't have an issue.
Correct.
Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's correct. I was going to say this is kind of nuanced to the point where we're going to check to see if 5 years is up yet. There's not something Lewis and I can do. We've got to call in the consultant to do the review.
Exactly. And also, I think it's important for us to agree that, Michael, we need for you to set up an SOP on making sure this comes up on a schedule, and that the board is advised about it. I may not be around, Chris may not be around, so we have to rely on Infomark to make sure that this gets on the calendar.
Absolutely, Lewis, on board.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I'd like to move acceptance of the policy.
Okay. Somebody want to give me a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion about the process and about the policy that we're looking to adopt?
Well, I do have one question. Eventually, when we get to that utopian period where we have no outstanding bond issues, will this even come up?
There's a period of time after everything's paid off, but I think it's very limited. Yeah, so if you're still around, Art, we can celebrate it.
Okay, thanks.
So did we take a vote on it?
No, we'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and call the vote. Louis,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Art,
Yes.
Jana.
Yes.
I vote yes too. Okay.
Okay, and then next is the letter that will accompany the payment. Again, this was developed by the bond attorneys to comply with the IRS regulations to present an innocent failure to pay claim, and all the verbiage is in there. The audit committee met with the bond attorneys recently. We went over this in detail, and so we're bringing it for review and approval tonight. And it will be enclosing 2 documents, well, 1 check to the IRS that we're going to approve, and then a form. So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at this letter, but basically explains what we're paying for, and that we agree it was not timely filed prior to 2008, and we have an explanation, and then we have the calculation. We're confident the bond attorneys have included everything that needs to be included. And when we send that out, which Lewis will be signing that, we have this form 8038T that's required. It also identifies the bond issue and how it was, basically what was calculated, what we're submitting. You'll note a couple things. The computation date in line 12 is July 1, 2008. So that's the date that we should have calculated and paid, and we didn't. And on that date, we had still retained, down in line 24, we still had $365,000 plus in surplus bond proceeds. Now we've since paid all that, or used all that money, but it was still sitting in there. I think at one time we had about $1 million in that fund. And so this has been already approved by your consultant, reviewed by your bond attorneys, and if approved by the board, Lewis will be signing this so we can submit it with a letter and check. And so these two go together, approval of the letter and the form, and also approval of the payment we could include in one motion.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I so
I'll make a
move.
motion to approve.
Okay. And give me a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? I'm curious, do we have any bond proceeds that are still sitting around right now? Michael, maybe you might know the answer to that.
I do, and the answer is no.
Okay, we've spent it all. Okay, well, that's good. So that means that, you know, we can't be doing any arbitrage then. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll go ahead and call the vote. Louis,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Art,
Yes.
Jana,
Yes.
I'll vote yes too.
Okay. And so Catherine, now we can go ahead and approve the check register.
Okay.
You approved the invoice and the payment to the IRS.
Okay, so
And,
yeah.
I just want to interject. Since we'll go ahead and hold and basically delete the Inframark check, that means that the total will be $263,162.49. And we'll get our billing corrected for next month, and you can pay us for the 2 months together next month.
Okay, so repeat that number again.
Yes. What? I said that too fast and you can't
Oh, yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
$263,162.49.
Okay, somebody give me a motion.
I'll motion.
I'll make it.
Okay, go ahead and make your motion, Chris.
What he said.
263,000.
263,100. Okay, you seconded, Art? Okay. Any discussion? Okay, I'll go ahead and call the vote. Chris?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Louis?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes, if you
And
can
I
hear
vote,
me.
yeah, and I vote yes too. Okay, so Now, let me see, where are we? We've done that. Okay, I think we're now on prior and pending open records requests, costs incurred by the district. And Bill, you sent out the letter, or the report, I should say. Could you go ahead and throw that up?
Sure, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing monthly now is we have a report that we generate on open records requests, and this is a public report. So that's why we put it in the packet. It goes on the website. It lists all the pending requests and some details. And then we have another report every month. This month is blank, but these are the completed since the last report. And the reason that we don't have any completed is we're still in the pandemic stage. Infomark's office, administrative office is closed. My office has been closed. Just recently, there's been some relief by the governor. And so we're slowly bringing some people back, but most everybody's working remotely. So the asterisk on the response due date represents the existing rules that were in place with the open records law and the attorney general prior to the pandemic. It's not a special rule, but if your administrative office is closed, the deadlines for responding are abated during that period of time, and people working remotely does not affect that situation. So it's not that we haven't been working on these, it's just we have not been able to complete them, review them, get them out the door. I think that's going to start to change over the next couple of weeks, where you'll see we'll be completing these. But this is what we have pending right now.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment. I don't know if you guys were able to see from looking at the report online, but throughout the pandemic, Linda Fobb has continued an attack on our community using open records request as her preferred form of attack. And just as she continues to submit open records requests to the Anderson Mill West Neighborhood Association after the Attorney General has ruled the association is not subject to them, she's now turned her attack to the WTCMUD1 vendors. The direct and indirect costs to date of the attack by Linda Fobb, Sarah Teal, and David Flores, also known as a community forum for the WTCMUD1 using open records requests, is just under $200,000. And we are 6 months into the current fiscal year, and so far the direct open records costs are just at $69,000. And I'm going to just say today I just approved, I think it was a $13,000 legal bill for our open records attorney that'll show up in next month's packet. And so last fiscal year, the direct open records costs incurred by the community forum for the WTCMUD1 attack was just over $87,000. And we are going to blow way past that by July. I'm anticipating that if nothing changes, our open records requests, our direct open records costs this year are going to be right around $125,000. And I think we need to start making some, some comparisons as to what $125,000 is. I mean, what is that? 4 bridges, we're looking at, $42,000 to do an infrastructure addition for Mataloupe Pond. Right now, every year that I've been part of this board, we've had these major budget items. $250,000 to fix up 1,000 Old Mill, $300,000 to replace all the park equipment. The Astor Pass Pond was somewhere around somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000. We can make direct comparisons about Do I want to spend $125,000 on open records requests? Or do I want a park? Do I want new swings in my park? I mean, those are the kinds of choices that rational people would say, I would rather have new play equipment. Right now, I calculated it out, $105 per house in the WTCMUD1 is what Linda Fobb and her open records attack has cost the residents of this MUD. For the entire time that I've been part of this organization, we have kept the cost per house almost not changing. We try to make it go down, even if it's $5 every year. What $105 is what we could have made the cost, the taxes per house go down this past year if we didn't have to pay $200,000 in open records requests because somebody is mad. I think that there was a better way to resolve this problem without having to spend $200,000. Okay. Does anybody else have?
Quick point of reference,
Yeah.
given your certified AV, 1 penny of the tax is a little over 60,000. So you can work a calculation off of that about how much taxation on each individual, each homeowner, that costing is incurring.
Okay. Moving on, does anybody else have anything to add about the prior and pending open records requests? Okay, agenda item 9, resolution regarding open records requests sent directly to district contractors and consultants.
Okay, so I'll give a brief introduction, and I'm sure that Catherine and Lewis will want to comment on this. We prepared this resolution, actually was drawn up today with input from special counsel. And I'm not going to get into a lot of the legal arguments in open session. But basically to get the board up to speed is a request has been made to Sage Management under the Public Information Act, directly to Sage Management for district records. And it is an attempt to hold Sage Management responsible as a entity that is subject to open records requests. And as you probably know, there's a lot of companies, organizations that are not subject to open records requests, including Anderson West Neighborhood Association went through the same process, got the ADJ rule on it. So when a request is made, in this case to Sage, it has caused them to determine how they're going to respond to it. And so they're going to incur some costs, some attorney fees. They're working with an attorney now to address this. And so that was the first thing that triggered the concern. The second is that, and now there's another request very recently to Infomark under the same criteria, trying to trigger Infomark's responsibility. So let me go through this resolution a little bit because it is new just today. The recitals just cite that we've received a large number of public information requests, which we have, and that they've been submitted directly to one of the contractors. It's actually 2 now, so one is accurate, at least one's accurate. And then we have a responsibility to make sure that our records are handled properly. So if our records are requested from a contractor, we do have a responsibility to assure that the proper handling of that request is made. And then it's true that if you're not subject to the act and you get one of these requests, such as Sage has received, they're not really familiar with it, so they're going to have assistance. We cannot provide legal assistance directly to a contractor, so they have to get their own attorney. And that may cause them to incur these expenses. They'll be unexpected, probably substantial, and they'll include attorney fees. And if all our contractors are incurring these types of expenses, it's going to make it difficult for us to find and retain qualified contractors, at least at the same prices. And we think the district in this resolution finds it's in its interest to assist its contractors in obtaining legal representation and otherwise responding. And then the last whereas is we're asserting they're not subject to the act and that those requests should be directed to the district. So then the resolution is that we encourage the contractors to incur expenses to either submit such costs if their contract covers it, or if it does not, propose an amendment to allow for such reimbursement request. And then section 2 says, basically, if there's not an existing contract that specifically provides for such reimbursement, the district may provide reimbursement in cases, and those 3 cases are listed, and they're to comport with existing law. And so I think Catherine and Lewis have worked with us on this, but this resolution really was just put together today. So I'm going to pause and see if anyone has any other comments or background that they'd like to present.
I'd like to suggest a couple of things. What we've learned in the history of Linda Fabre's use of this procedure is that she does not take no for an answer. And what has happened is that she has been repeatedly rebuked by the Attorney General relative to her attempt to seek open records redress against a neighborhood association. The Attorney General has told her no. She came back. The Attorney General told her no again. She's now going back a 3rd time. So what we've learned here is that she doesn't take no for an answer. She keeps going back. So we may be entering into a struggle here that will go on for a while. And I'm very concerned about our vendors, our contractors, being reluctant to do business with us because it's getting really messy.
Well, I want to add that this really isn't about open records as I perceive, because the information that she's asking for from Sage or Infomark, if she had come to us directly to the MUD and made her open records request through the appropriate channels, which she knows what they are, there would not be any issue about whether or not that was an appropriate open records request. What she's attempting to do is go do an end run around our review and care, custody, and control of our data. Because guess what? We have standards that we have to follow in terms of privacy. Our vendors are not necessarily going to have access to all of those rules about privacy. They don't know who has signed the form about and requested privacy. So it is totally inappropriate for anybody, not just Linda, but anybody to think that you can go to one of our governmental vendor, go to the a vendor who's working for a governmental entity, that they should be responding to open records requests. Remember, it's our data. It's not Sage's data. It's not Infomark's data. It's our data. And we are the people who should be responding to open records requests. Okay, can you scroll down a little bit? Okay, so I want to talk about the resolution where it says, now therefore be it resolved that 1, the board of directors of the district encourages. I don't like the word encourages. I want it to be expects, requires any of its contractors that incur expenses related to requests for public information. I want it to be very upfront. This isn't a yes or, if you want to. We are going to stand up and support our vendors and protect our vendors from this type of attack. So I want the resolution to be much stronger than using the word encourage.
And more than that, Catherine, as you so rightfully pointed out, we're talking about our data. It's not the contractor's data, it's our data. And so we have the obligation to insist that our contractors come to us and notify
Yes.
of what's
Yes.
going on, because it is our data. It's not their data.
Right.
So we don't
Okay.
want to go off on their own because they elect not to respond.
Okay, so can you scroll up a little more, Bill? I want to see again, number 2. Okay. Okay, so if an existing contractor does not specifically provide for such reimbursement, the district may provide reimbursement in those cases where the district finds that the primary purpose of the reimbursement for legal and other expenses is to the benefit of the district. The district ensures that the reimbursement serves to accomplish the public purpose. The district receives a return benefit from the service for which the reimbursement is granted. I'm not following the whole purpose of number 2.
Yeah, how do we determine that?
Well, I'm just saying, listen, you know, I'm like I said, I'm standing up and said, listen, this is our responsibility. There should not be any meter that, you know, benchmark that you have to meet, because this is about care, custody, and control of our data. And I think that, you know, when this first showed up, I think it was last week, I think Bill sort of eloquently said it. He said, listen, you know, if this request had been made by anybody else, our response could have been, please make your request through the appropriate channels. This is how you make an open records request for data concerning the WTCMUD1. But we're not dealing with somebody who's being rational here. She's purposely attempting to go around to circumvent the process. So that is why we are being forced to take this very upfront, we're going to protect our vendors, and we're going to protect our data, and make sure that when we release our data, that it has been properly vetted based on the privacy rules that we as the MUD must follow. Okay, so I don't know why we have to have number 2. Bill, tell me why we have to have number 2.
These criteria are established by case law. And so to avoid any allegation that you used public funds in a way that was not authorized, because this is the situation where the existing contract doesn't have that provision.
Okay.
So I really can't recommend changing anything in number 2. This is your backstop if they haven't amended their contract.
Okay, so how do we
determine?
how do we make that determination that they hit 1 or they hit 2 or they hit 3?
Well, when you get the reimbursement request, you analyze it and you see that the legal and other expenses are to the benefit of the district, because when we go back to the recitals, we have this situation where we need to protect our own data and we need to be able to get contractors interested in working for us. So I think A is pretty simple. B is ensuring that the reimbursement serves to accomplish the public purpose. That's really very related to it, that it will actually do what the primary purpose is. In other words, it does serve the purpose that you came up with, which is to have contractors more willing to work for you and control our documents, which I think, again, will be easy for you to determine in this.
Okay.
Bill, do you said there's case law, that this is based on case law? Do
Yes,
we
sir.
have any other type of benchmarks or examples where this occurred and a governmental body actually did this?
The special counsel reviewed the case law and equated this to match the case law and recommended this would put you on safe ground to reimburse if there's no contract provision.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so
And C is, I think C is very similar. So I
Okay.
think in this circumstance, when you get the reimbursement request, if there is no existing contract, you would just make these findings, and I think it would be fairly easy to tie it back to those purposes.
Okay, so we know that as it relates to Sage, we have something in their contract. So we're going to be able to deal with I think, what is it, a reimbursement out of.
They have a clause for additional services. That
Right.
they can submit.
Okay, so what about Infomark? Do they have a clause? Christy, do you remember off the top of your head?
I do not. I'll have to review our contract, Catherine.
Okay, well, the point I'm trying to make is if we have any contracts that are missing, number one, I would like to make sure that all of our contracts are amended so the big ones are going to be Gray Engineering and Sunscapes. I'm trying to think, do we have to amend contracts, or we just have engagement letters with the auditors, et cetera, et cetera? Would that be something that we have to address with them also, Bill?
I really hadn't given it that much thought.
Okay.
I think that the district can propose amendments to contracts and present them to the contractors. That's something we can do.
Yes. And
that's really separate from this motion. We can start that process anyway.
yes.
Where it's take each contract, review it, and see if a clause is necessary.
Well, that's the next step that I want to make sure we go down, is to make sure that that we've protected all of our contractors. You know, for all we know, the next one she's going to send something to Waste Management, and and that's a huge corporate, national corporation, traded on the Dow, and I'm sure that's going to get lost in that's something that could get lost really easily. So, okay. So Louis, do you have any other changes, or, okay, let me ask this. Does anybody have any response to my not liking the word encourages?
Well, I have a response. Okay.
You have a response? Okay.
What's a specific term we can use?
Well, if you don't like, I don't want to put requires, because I think that's up to them.
How about anticipates? To me, anticipates is much stronger than encourages.
I could go with anticipates.
Yes. Okay. Does somebody else have another?
Well, I'm taking our legal advice. I'd go with the wording that he proposes there.
Okay. Well, if you're really...
What about highly encourages?
We could say highly encourages, just add the word high.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, the thing is that we don't know what's going to occur.
Right.
And we can't make a vendor come in if they don't feel their expenses were substantial and don't want to submit them. We can't make them do that.
Right. I
guess highly encourages would be better.
Okay, I'm okay with highly encourages.
Okay. So we'll assume that change in the motion.
Okay.
If we want to go to a motion.
I have another question. Do we anticipate or estimate what our contractors or vendors' costs or legal costs will be? I mean, is there a threshold that we would do it to, or is it just, you see why I'm asking that?
It's not a blank check for attorneys, if that's what you're asking. We would review the request to see if it's reasonable given the effort that was required.
Right.
I can't anticipate what that number is. Andersonville West Neighborhood Association has a sense of what they spent. I'm sure it's going to be, over $2,000 in legal.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be, for somebody like Sage, for somebody like Gray Engineering, it's going to be a significant significant one-time hit.
I think one of the principal uncertainties is that Linda Favre has shown a pattern of not taking no for an answer. After the AG rejects her claims, she still comes back. And each time she does, there has to be more legal expense.
Yeah. Oh, you're on mute, Art. Art, you're on mute. Try it again.
My question is, has the contractors incurred legal expense to get a determination from the Attorney General? You know, those kinds of things.
You mean right now?
Yeah, right now, currently.
I'll let Sage speak, but I understand they have engaged an attorney and are incurring fees.
We have retained an attorney, and they have not billed us for the work that they have done for us at this point.
Okay.
We have a ballpark figure estimate of what it, you know, the initial hours that have been put in, but we do not have a clear total.
Okay.
At this point. I do want to let you know, though, that one of the things that Jimmy and I did when we saw how the open requests thing was going last November, we did go back and on our own added extra insurance to help protect your data. We didn't want any personal information to get out that shouldn't get out, because once it's into somebody else's hands, we have no control of what they do with that information online. And there is insurance to help protect that and help in the recovery of that. We just took it on as an added expense, and we've been paying for it since November on our own. But we just wanted to make sure that the MUD, their data was, the records of the residents was protected. And we didn't want it to get into the wrong hands and be used for any negative purposes.
Okay. Did we have a motion to adopt the motion? Did we have a resolution? Louis, did you make that?
I did not, and I can't because Iris is barking, but okay, so I'll say I move it.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and second this. Do we have any more discussion that we want to make?
Nope.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and call. Oh, Chris, what'd you want to say?
No, I said not me.
Okay, okay. I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. Louis?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
And I vote yes also. Okay. Okay. So, agenda item number 10, district rate order. Do we have anything on the district rate order?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Okay. I'm having a brain fart right here. We had a back and forth, and I said I wanted to discuss this. What do you remember?
You were concerned with the deposits.
Oh, yes.
And I informed you could discuss it anytime, but you were going to do it during budget season.
Yes. Okay. So that's what. So I'm just saying this out loud. Is when we get back into budget season, which is going to be, next July or so, I'd like to just have a general discussion about what the policy is for what the deposits are. And do we need a formula for calculating them, et cetera. Okay, so that's just where I'm going to leave it. Okay, agenda item 11, reports from the park subcommittee. Okay, Jana, do you think we have anything else to talk about right now as it relates to park improvements, park and pond rules, the office buildings, park and pond improvements, tree replacements, et cetera, et cetera? Jana? Oh, you're on mute, honey. You're on mute.
Sorry.
I don't think we had anything to add to the conversation, do we?
Well, we were looking at prices on some swings for different areas, the bench swings. Working on that, and then what about Sunscape and their?
I think we have one corner. I think
those trees.
the trees.
Can I add, yeah, speaking of trees, are we ever going to get a tree for Vestavia Ridge?
Oh, you mean the one that was stolen?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if we were going to replace it or not. You want us to put it? You want us to put it back? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, it would, you know, it's kind of plain Jane without it, and there's a sprinkler head already there now. They capped it, but
okay.
You know, I would. I think our Valente would like it back.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say is Mackenzie, make a note of it, and then let's take a look at the budget and see where we can find a tree, find some money for a tree. Okay.
You got it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that's it from the Park Subcommittee. Okay, report from the deed. Oh, did you have anything else to add, Jana?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Report from the Deed Restriction Committee. Do we have anything to discuss pending appeals, the rules? Do we have any approval of minutes that we needed to do?
No, we approved those at the DRC meeting.
Okay. And we don't have anything else to add about the lawsuits for London Lane or Tierra Blanco Trail?
Just a quick update on the London Lane lawsuit. The owner has been served by Travis County. So now the time period starts to run for him to file an answer. So we did get that far.
Okay. Now, just so I know, do you have to hire an attorney to file an answer, or can he pick up the phone and talk to you?
He's an individual. He can represent himself. If he were a corporation, you'd have to have an attorney for a district court.
Okay.
But there's been no direct communication so far.
Okay. Okay, funding and interaction between the Anderson Midwest Neighborhood Association, Hunters Glen Homeowners Association, Lakeline Oaks, or the Valente Hills. I don't think there's anything to discuss on that one. And nothing related from the neighborhood associations or HOAs related to deed restriction enforcements. Agenda item 13.
Before you move off 12,
Oh, sure.
I'd like to say something. At Monday's meeting, a breathless, indignant, angry Linda Farb accused Sage of persecuting our friend Hanby, who lives around the corner from me, for an automobile violation while he did not act against another car that did not have a license. I want the public to know that, as is often the case, Linda is off base. That car that she alleges did not have a registration, did not have a license, does have a license. The car is being repaired. It's in the driveway. The license is not affixed to the car. It doesn't have to be affixed to the car unless the car goes out into the roadway. This is another example of Linda having half-baked information and using it with great anger to make accusations against our folks who are enforcing deed restrictions. That's it.
Okay. Agenda item 13, report from the investment committee. Do we have anything from the investment committee? I guess that's a no.
No.
Am I right, Louis? Nothing from the investment committee?
That's correct.
Okay. And
I felt my report covered all of that.
Okay. Report number, agenda item 14, report from the audit committee. We've already taken care of that. Agenda item 15, report from the bills and invoices committee. Do we have anything to discuss?
No, I think we covered everything.
Oh, sorry, Art.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Well, next month we're going to try to meet in person from afar because it's a little bit difficult at times when we have to do it on Zoom or on a phone. So we're going to try to do that next month. So
We'll
hopefully that
practice social distancing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can sit at opposite ends of the table.
Yeah, Herb and I did that. So.
Okay. Okay, so agenda item 16, report from the Budget Committee.
Nothing. I think we're going to start gearing up. Michael, is it June that we're going to start?
Yeah, according to our calendar says June. So next month, begin reviewing preliminary budget for the next fiscal year. So that's when we'll begin calling for, the various committees, projects and want lists. I'll be looking more closely at the financials to see projecting what the year end is. I mean, we're doing that constantly, but do a bit more formal. And then it's an ongoing process all the way through, till September when you actually approve the budget. Mm-hmm. But yes, we are ready to begin next month.
Okay. And agenda item 17, report from the Customer Care Committee, answers to prior questions from residents or online posting inaccurate or misleading site names. And I believe, Louis, you had a comment you wanted to make.
Yes, I do. And I apologize at the outset for taking so much time, but we are confronted by a need to do so. I wish to report to you, our MUD residents, about a situation that all residents need to be aware of. I will first describe the problem, then I will comment on the perpetrators of the problem, and finally, I will suggest ways that you, our residents, can avoid being victimized. The problem. We have seen relentless attempts to obtain the private contact data of MUD residents who have been cited for deed restriction violations. I will briefly review the circumstances and history of what has become a struggle on our part to protect the privacy of you, our residents, and what you can do. Here are some of the things we know are happening. Residents have endured unwanted approaches and harassment by parties not affiliated with the deed restriction enforcement process. Ms. Linda Fabre approaches persons cited for violations to recruit them as her followers. That has resulted in complaints to us of harassment from persons so approached. Persons who have reported harassment involving phone calls from unidentified persons demanding details about their experience with violation enforcement. Such persons have been threatened when they refuse to divulge the information asked for. We have seen a pattern of harassment that has been discussed at board meetings, and where Linda Fabre, when we do so, immediately issues open records requests to discover who is complaining. I therefore recommend that persons submit complaints verbally to a MUD director to prevent their names from being revealed to Ms. Fabre through open records requests, demands which might result in further harassment. A Vietnam veteran who is suffering from cancer brought on from his exposure to Agent Orange during his military service has complained about verbal abuse at his home by Linda Fabre. What are we doing to protect the privacy and to mitigate threats and harassment of our neighbors? One of the first steps the board took to protect your privacy was to change the water application to automatically opt the resident into privacy. New account applications may choose to opt out of privacy, but they are automatically opted in. A new form to opt into privacy was sent to every account holder, encouraging them to update their privacy status. This form is on the MUD website for download. The email signatures of all MUD directors and vendors who communicate with residents contain a message stating that their communication is subject to open records with a link to the form to opt into privacy. Finally, redacting or blanking out the contact information from board reports of persons cited with deed restriction violations. We have undertaken this because those reports are public documents and therefore accessible to persons wishing to use the information for their own purposes. We have been busy alerting persons who are charged with deed restriction violations that they may be contacted by outside parties with no official standing who will wish to, quote, assist, unquote, them in appealing. If those persons harass you, please report the harassment to the MUD. No one from the MUD will ever contact you requesting their personal information. Just as we would all reject requests for our Social Security number from a stranger on the phone, we advise residents to reject requests for their personal information from persons unknown to them who represent themselves as having official status. Do not hesitate to contact the MUD about such contacts. So who are the perpetrators? What are their methods and what are their objectives? The perpetrators. The persons pursuing these attacks on our residents are led by Ms. Linda Fabre, Sarah Dillard Teal, and assisted by Mr. David Flores, who are long-standing critics of the MUD. They have had great difficulty in their attempts to recruit residents to support their relentless anti-MUD campaign, in part due to their unfortunate, very troubled personalities. One of them was criminally charged in Williamson County after numerous profanity-laden attacks against the MUD board during MUD board meetings, from which he was ejected numerous times by law enforcement. Their methods. The deed restriction enforcement process inevitably angers some of the persons who are charged with violations. The perpetrators see that population as fertile ground to recruit followers. So they have chosen to focus on those persons. To do so, they need to know the identities of those persons and contact information. The measures we have taken to protect your privacy impede them, so they have turned to other methods. Linda Fabre has walked through many of the MUD neighborhoods, compiling lists of perceived violations, which she has then submitted to the MUD deed restriction enforcement manager. In an astonishing display of a sense of entitlement, she demanded to be informed of actions taken. But wait, that is not all. She then contacted the very persons she has reported as violators, offering to help defend them from the persecution at the hands of the MUD. An unsurprising consequence is that we have received formal requests from the Valenti Hills and Hunters Glen HOAs that WTCMUD1 not accept allegations of violations from persons that do not live in the HOA where the violations are alleged to have occurred. Your board of directors has revised the rules for enforcement of deed restrictions to provide that same limitation to the entire MUD. As a result, Ms. Fabre's reach is now limited to the Anderson Mill West neighborhood where she lives and continues to pursue her tactics. They have created a Facebook page, the Community Forum for WTCMUD1, in support of their efforts. Neither they nor their community forum are affiliated with, nor are they a part of, nor do they represent WTCMUD1. They and their forum are self-appointed. Recently, Ms. Fabre has attempted to obtain the contact data of persons cited with deed restriction violation using the open records demands that she has issued directly to the deed restriction enforcement contractor, which is a subject we discussed just earlier tonight. The contractor has formally notified the MUD that the demand requires release of data that is the property of the MUD, and that is in the care and custody of the contractor. Today, a second MUD vendor, Infomark, was served with open records demand by Ms. Fabre, as we discussed earlier. We vigorously maintain MUD vendors are not government entities and thus not subject to open records laws. I am concerned that this new approach to get protected data will require legal expenses by the vendors and the MUD will deter our vendors from working with the MUD, which is why we had the resolution that was just passed earlier in this meeting. So tonight we adopted a policy to make any of our vendors whole from costs arising from such demands. Their objective. The frequently stated objectives of Linda Fabre, Sarah Teal, and David Flores are to remove and replace all the existing MUD directors and to dramatically change the scope of work that the MUD pursues. They have made it clear that had they been in charge, the many neighborhood improvements undertaken by your directors would not have happened. they would not have undertaken and would have vigorously opposed the street lighting improvements, where we increased by 50% the street lights in the community so that there are no longer cul-de-sacs or mailboxes without lighting. They would have opposed the beautification of ponds with trees, plants, and trails. They would have opposed the improvements to parks, including replacement of aging playscapes. They would have opposed the conversion of the site of a former elevated water tank on Astor Pass into a park. WTCMUD1 bought the land from Cedar Park and thereby prevented the space from being used as a parking lot for Cedar Park utility vehicles, which it had been during the time the tank was erected. We have launched a deed restriction enforcement process where the inspector talks to people and thereby settles issues without conflict, and in so doing, discovers persons who need help, such as the aged and the infirm. This remarkably successful methodology is unprecedented in our MUD and is much appreciated by the community. In closing, let me add that many of you, our residents, have expressed dismay about what you have seen in the malevolent behavior of Linda Fabre, Sarah Teal, and David Flores. You might consider expressing your reactions to their appalling behavior by letting them know of your feelings. You can do that at their Facebook page, Community Forum for WTCMUD1. You might also check back later, where you will almost certainly find that your comments, if negative, have been taken down. Their concept of transparency does not apply to themselves. Finally, if you are or become a victim of harassment, we urge you to report your experience, as many of you have already done. You can call me or any other board member to report such activity. That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Louis. Okay, agenda item 18, video recording of board meetings by district. What's going on with that?
Well, after every meeting on these Zoom meetings, we have a recording that is sent to Touchstone for processing. They do the time stamping, organizing, gets on the website. As far as I know, it's going well.
Okay.
And I talked to Touchstone today, and because at one time they were concerned about not getting the agendas in advance of the meetings, and they confirmed that they now are getting them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great. Okay, agenda item 19, report from the Information Management Committee. District website. Do we have anything to discuss about that?
Yeah, we do. We have chatted with Touchstone back and forth. We're still going over their the documents they sent us. Do you want to elaborate on that, Louis?
Yes, I'll say that we, at a previous board meeting, we authorized asking Touchstone to give us a proposal for launching a Facebook page for our MUD. They are working on that, and we expect to be working with them and coming back to the board with some recommendations. We also asked them, and you authorized, that they perform an audit of our website. Our website has reached some of the limits of its capabilities, and they have done an audit and sent us a summary of their findings. Our committee is meeting with them to see whether we can then come up with some recommendations to the board as to how to proceed further to expand the capabilities of our website.
Okay. And cyber security training, I think all of us have received the emails that we've got a requirement to complete cyber security training, and we've received links from, I think it's Bill, for the place that we can go to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's due in August. Is that when it is, Bill?
The original deadline was June 14. There was some indication it might get bumped to the end of the year. Louis, have you seen any official notification of the extension?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's still June 14 is what you're saying?
Correct.
Oh,
And
that means, okay, guys, we've got, a month. If nothing else happens, we've got to get it done. Okay.
if you have any questions, contact Matt McPhail
Okay.
at my office. He's working on it.
Yeah, and it's just a 1 hour deal, and we now have 2 sources for it, including the Texas Association of Water Boards website.
Okay. Do we get a certificate and we have to send it to Bill? Bill, do we have to send something to you and you have to file it with somebody?
There's a process of you reporting it through a agency, and then that report comes to us. If you have any trouble doing that,
Okay.
just contact Matt. He'll
Okay.
take you. Other directors and other districts have successfully done it. It hasn't been a real big problem, but the reporting process is a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, I finished mine last week. It was pretty painless. I mean,
Pretty
it was
painless. It was
yeah.
painless.
Well, it was a little interesting at first, but it worked.
Okay. Agenda item 20, report from the infrastructure committee. Is there anything else to discuss?
I think we've covered everything unless you have something, Art. Art, you're on mute.
No, I think we covered it all.
Okay. Report from the management committee.
I have nothing.
Okay. Do we have anything from the solid waste committee?
Chris, can you talk to that?
No. Yeah, I talked to him, and I had a little discussion with Jimmy. He's supposed to provide pictures of trash cans in the middle of the street.
Oh.
I think we've got all the problems solved.
Okay. Well, I hope
Hey,
you're
I
right.
have a question regarding that. When are we gonna have like the bulky pickup that we have the big trailer at Lake Pine Oak?
Yeah,
All you gotta do is ask for it. Just schedule it.
Yeah, it's
So you can let them know.
Okay, so
it probably should be soon, just because people are really cleaning out their garages a lot, and
That's right.
I think
I'd
it'd be
say
a good time.
Do it.
So should we ask Mackenzie to go ahead and schedule that for like the second week of June or something like that?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
And
So
Mackenzie, I'll get with you about how it went last time.
Okay, sounds good, Chris.
Okay. Okay. Agenda item 23, report from the Records Monitorization Committee. What do we have? Do we have anything to share with them?
We are looking into some different hardware to look at. Not only iPads, but also like the Android notebooks, I guess, just to kind of do a price comparison. Mackenzie and Lee have more information on that. Do you guys want to add to that?
We do not currently have any additional information. I briefly spoke with Chris, and I think Lee and Jana got together. We're just basically going to let Jana and Chris make a recommendation of an Android tablet that they would like to pursue, and we can get some idea as far as capabilities, price, etc., what accessories they accept. Because us here at Infomark, we only use iPad ourselves as well as with our districts, so we can't necessarily confidently make an assumption on an Android device. So it seems like Chris is pretty well versed with those, so we wanted to see if they wanted to make a recommendation. We could gladly look into them.
Okay.
And then the other thing that we're gonna chat with Bill soon and talk about how we already have all the records online now, as far as when, because we're on lockdown kind of because of the coronavirus, and everybody is able to download all the records for each meeting. That will be hopefully easily transferred into a Google Doc. Is that what you were talking about, Chris, the other day when we chatted?
Yes,
Chris?
it is. Like, I thought it was more a software issue than a hardware. I think there's two separate issues. But you're right. The Google Docs, we were talking about having a site where we could transfer, things that didn't have any information that was confidential, and they could even be available to the residents that way.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, we're still working that out a little bit.
Okay. Okay, so agenda item 24, service provider vendor evaluations. Do we have
Catherine,
anything to work on with that? Yeah.
I'd like to add something before we move from 23.
Oh, sure.
On the iPads, you guys, for your information, the Texas Association of Water Boards uses iPads for their Board of Trustees meetings. So I've had I've had an ability to see how it works, and it's really quite impressive. And there may be some people there that can talk to you about how they do it and how successful they've been.
Well, okay, I'm just going to throw this out there. We don't necessarily have to go with a bleeding edge latest release of a tablet. I think that if we wanted to go with iPads, because they are more expensive in general than Android devices, you can get, used iPads from reputable places and that are a generation or two old, that they're going to be significantly less expensive than the current 7th or 8th generation.
And you don't need a big one. You don't need a big one.
No, but the point I'm trying to make is that our devices last way longer than how often most of us are upgrading them. My husband's on a 10-year-old smartphone right now, and it works just fine for him. So I'll throw that out there too.
We're looking at both right now.
Okay.
We want something pretty new so you can update it, and so it's under warranty, because it's not just for us. It's not like a toy that we really want. It's just we want all our information. If we're going to go all Google Docs, we want to be in the boardroom. We want to be able to have it on our tablets or our iPads. And then we can have it on the screen for people that come in, So I don't know. We're still going to have a meeting with Infomark and Bill in a few weeks.
Yeah, if you buy refurbished older generation iPads from Apple, they'll refurbish them and guarantee them like new.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, thanks. We'll look into that. Good to know.
Okay. Agenda item 24, service providers, vendor evaluations. Where do we stand on this? This is something we're talking about before the pandemic hit, and now I'm trying to remember what brought this on.
Well, it was something that Lisa and I had started talking about it, and then when Mackenzie came on, we thought it would go real well with talking about the iPad and the Google Drive and things like this. So I don't know where we are as far as the actual evaluations. We have not met. We've met one time, and we need to meet again. So,
okay,
Mackenzie, let's get it scheduled.
We can. Okay. Agenda item 25, traffic hazards in the district, request for county to restrict through traffic. I think that this is actually probably going to tie in pretty tightly to the ad hoc committee that we started tonight with Jan and I to work with Anderson Mill West Neighborhood Association and the community to start dealing with and addressing the traffic issues with the county. Do we have anything else to discuss about this, Louis?
Well, also 26 should be part of your work.
Yes. Yes. Let's talk about agenda item 26, which is license agreements with Williamson and Travis County. Bill, one of the questions I have is, we've done a good job of putting the dog poo stations, out El Salito and, where the rock wall was, and then on Little Elm on where it was next to our cement walls. does the license agreements that we have with Williamson or Travis County allow us to put them other places also?
I don't believe so. I don't know if they'll require a license agreement for that type of installation. I'm not sure where they all are. Are they on our property?
Well, the question I'm trying to understand is, you know, we've got boulevards. Everybody who's got a sidewalk has got that, you know, strip between the sidewalk and the street called the boulevard. And the on some of the streets where we've got I'm thinking like Little Elm, where we've got issues where the license agreement is coming into effect. Would we be allowed to put additional dispensers out on Old Mill?
We'd have to inquire with the county to see if a license agreement would be required, but our Williamson County license agreement does not mention it.
Okay, so it'll be something that I'll be interested in pursuing.
A lot of it is in Lakeland Oaks too, so we'd have to look at that.
Right. Okay. The big dispenser systems have been, you know, very well received, and they're working really well on, you know, where we've put them. But I perceive that there are probably other places in the district that that would be very handy also.
So how about a report from Bill on the solar speed signs on Travis? I think Bill, you were working on a license agreement with them.
Correct. And we've made some progress with that. We're actively communicating with them. We have now submitted a complete license agreement for all the locations, all the exhibits in accordance with the prior board approval. All those details have been submitted to the county. We're waiting to hear back to see if that's acceptable, and then the county would process it for approval. On the other signage, the diamond yellow signage that the county said that they would put instead of the little man and the median type sign. We're actively working with them. Allison's been in direct contact with the guy that will make that determination preliminarily. And so we feel like we're getting lots of cooperation with the county, so moving that forward.
Okay.
Of course, just to remind you, with Williamson County, that's going to take some kind of political movement to do anything there.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm hoping is that if we can show that we've had cooperation from Travis, once we get that up and running, then we'll be able to leverage that with Williamson, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's not going to be difficult to demonstrate we got a lot of cooperation because their attitudes are reverse, but I agree politically.
So will this have to be approved by and go through Commissioner's Court, or is this just something that somebody within a department takes care of?
That unfortunately has to go to Commissioner's Court.
Okay. Okay.
But I think when it gets there, it'll be relatively routine because Travis County has reported they've done a number of these for HOAs, not as many for MUDs, but they've done a number for HOAs. So they don't expect any resistance.
Okay.
We're just trying to follow the format.
Okay, and agenda item 27, minutes from prior and regular special meetings. Do we have?
Yeah, they're in your packet, item 7, part 1, towards the end, the manager's packet.
Okay. Let's see. Does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. We adjourn.
No, we need to approve the minutes first.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll make a motion. The minutes are approved.
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
Somebody want to second that? Okay. Let me call the vote. Chris?
Yes.
Jana?
Yes.
Louis?
Yes.
Art?
Yes.
And I vote yes too. Okay. Agenda item 28, I need somebody to adjourn the meeting.
I motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Okay, give me a second.
I'll second.
Okay, well, let's all say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Okay. This
Aye,
meeting
thank
is
you.
adjourned. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Have a good month, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.